Thanksgiving, John. Happy belated Thanksgiving, John.
You saw me on Thanksgiving.
I know.
Why are we doing this?
But because I've got so much to give thanks for. I'm giving thanks for the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I gotta go.
Okay. You don't want to do Thanksgiving again? How many times can we do Thanksgiving? Hey, by the way, it's me, Jeff.
I'm John. I'm joking,
yes.
of course, as well.
What are your general thoughts on Thanksgiving, John?
It's MST 3K Turkey Day Marathon is the big thing that I participate in every year.
Okay.
Even when there wasn't a Turkey Day Marathon going on.
You make your own?
I make my own because that's the tradition, because MST 3K has always had a Turkey Day Marathon. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge nerd for MST 3K, so.
Okay. Yeah, we did our thing this year. John, people may not know this out in the audience, but John, Amanda, and I have this is the 4th year tradition of going out to this restaurant, this kind of comfort food restaurant here in town that does like turkey and dressing and stuff.
They have a special Thanksgiving menu that they serve all day.
Yep. And John got himself a steak, and then double mashed potatoes, and then he didn't really eat any of the mashed potatoes.
It had this nasty ass fucking gravy on them.
Why didn't you ask the person to bring him more mashed potatoes?
That steak was pretty filling. So,
yeah. Just a steak, just a big hunk of meat.
I mean, I ate like about a third of the mashed potatoes. I tried to eat around the gravy. Fucking tasted like ginger.
You didn't even go nuts
ginger
on
in it.
The rolls.
I had 2 rolls.
I had 4 rolls.
I'm just what?
I won the roll competition.
No one told me there was a competition.
There's always a competition, all right? When they bring bread to the table, the competition is who can inconvenience everybody else by eating more than their fair share of the bread in a sneaky manner where nobody points and says, "Hey, cut that out. The bread's for everybody." No, actually, it's I found it to be really great because Grant has himself this big Thanksgiving potluck dinner.
Yeah, I didn't get to go this year,
and so I get like this big kind of like hanging out with everybody. Although for the 4th year in a row, I did get wasted the night before and then ate way too much, and then by 9 o'clock, I'm just like, I have to go home. I'm just about to fall asleep. Right about when John Rubio and Jason Murphy start breaking open like scotches and beers and stuff, and I'm just like, I can't drink now. I'll fall asleep. I will just fall asleep on the ground. There's a problem with potlucks, John.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that you had a problem with alcoholism. I thought you were about to finally admit it.
Admit it? I revel in it. No. Yeah, don't think about that too much. Don't think about it too much, and just don't think about it. I haven't lost a car, a spouse, or a job yet. So, yeah, there's a problem. There's a conceptual issue with potlucks, I feel. And the problem is that everybody, especially so people in the audience, I know that there's, most of you, I feel like our demographic is firmly like 30 and over crowd, right? But I know there are younger people out there. So when you're young, you go to potluck and everybody brings garbage, right? Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to stop by the grocery store and buy one of those crappy pies that they've got, and I'm going to bring that, But like when you're a bunch of Austin hippie foodie crazies, like everybody brings something that's spectacularly delicious, and so you load up your plate with just one bite of all these spectacularly delicious dishes. You finish that off, and then you got to go back to get more of the winners of the spectacularly tasty dish competition.
Assuming they're still there.
Yes. And then you've eaten too much, just too much. There's not enough room in the day for this amount of tasty food.
So, Jeff, I'd like to introduce you to a concept called self-control.
What's that? Did they just come up with that? Is that a Reddit thing?
No. This is.
I don't read Reddit, John. So
it's where you don't
r/self-control.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
I saw some people on Thanksgiving passing around that Louis C.K. quote that was like, I don't stop eating when I'm full. I stop eating when I hate myself.
Yeah, true.
I usually get that, and then John and Amanda and I would like to go out and do our thing, and it was nice.
That's on Thanksgiving Day. We like to go do our thing,
which I think I was hungover on Thanksgiving, so I just spent the entire day playing video games, and then it was like turkey.
Yeah, I spent the entire day watching MST3K, eating cereal, and spending time with my fiance and my dog.
Okay, what's your cereal of choice? What do you go to?
Reese's Puffs.
Really?
Yeah. Because Reese's are for breakfast.
No, they're not. But
Reese's Puffs. The Reese's for breakfast. That's what they are.
that's their slogan?
Yeah.
That's just lazy as fuck.
Yeah, it's...
It'd be like Taco Bell. It's tacos. What? Like, that's not a good
That'd be a great slogan.
Taco Bell.
Instead of Live Moss.
Right. Yeah, and it's always a little strange to me that their slogan is a direct opposition to what will happen if you eat at Taco Bell. You will live menos if you eat at Taco Bell, not Moss. Moss is, Taco Bell. You'll hate yourself. Like, oh, man. Taco Bell's, they're pissing me off again, John.
Oh, yeah?
Pissing me
They're
right
changing
off.
the menus again?
Man, okay, no, well, they did, but every so often Taco Bell decides to start putting on the airs, and they're at that point now where they're like, oh, the new thing on the menu is our super steak, right? So here's a super steak burrito for $6.99, and here's super steak nachos for like $14. And I'm just like, Taco Bell, nothing you make is worth more than $2.99 at most. You know, you get up into the $4.49 range, Taco Bell, you're lying to yourself and to the rest of us.
Well, having actually seen the super steak nachos,
yeah,
you're not paying for the quality of the food. You're
No.
paying for the amount of the food.
Okay.
Because that thing is bigger than anything on their menu by at least 4 times.
Does it come in a Pyrex mixing bowl?
No, but it does come in a, like, it's like big. Like, people can't see the hand gesture I'm using, but it's like it's like a...
Well, you're making a pizza box.
Yeah,
out of your
it's
hands
about a fucking pizza, half of a pizza box.
of nachos.
Of nachos with steak in it.
All right,
again,
Taco Bell.
you're not paying for the quality.
Yeah.
You're paying for the amount of the shit food you're getting.
Okay, I take it back, Taco Bell. I maybe need to come try those steak nachos.
I can't speak on the burrito, but
Sure.
the nachos, there's a fucking large amount of food there.
I like it better when it's $1 loaded grillers and not when it's like
Oh, no, me too.
$6
Dude.
fucking pizza box full of nachos.
All I do are loaded grillers and their mini quesadillas, mini
Okay.
beefy quesadillas.
Man, I got a whole thing. I'll tell you what though, I got to give Taco Bell props. This is not interesting at all. So you guys could just stop listening for 5 minutes.
Don't stop listening. Keep listening to the podcast. Don't turn the episode off.
I ordered from Taco Bell and then the Taco Bell the app crashed, right? So I opened up the app and I was like, order history, and there was nothing there. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go get Taco Bell. So I ordered again. I just picked a different thing, and I was like, and then I go to Taco Bell and I go to check in, and they're like, which one is your order? And I was like, what is my order? And I looked it up on my phone, and I was like, this is the number. And then I realized that I had 2 receipts for Taco Bell. Like, they had charged me for the other one, but then the app crashed. And I was like, hey, can you guys cancel that other one? They're like, you got to call corporate, whatever, blah, blah. And I was like, oh.
Fuck it. I'll take them both.
I rolled 9, like, what do I need, 2 $9 orders at Taco Bell? I'm
Yes.
not going to die tonight. I'm not... This isn't leaving Las Vegas with Taco Bell, where I'm just trying to Taco Bell myself to oblivion. But as
Jeff,
what's that?
you're always trying to Taco Bell yourself into oblivion.
Well,
Let's be honest.
in a spiritual sense, you are correct. But as I was leaving, I got an email from them that was like, hey, your other order is canceled. And I was like, oh, good on you, Taco Bell, for being like, there were 2 orders. They were actually different orders, but I picked one up, and the Taco Bell app was like, you don't need any more Taco Bell, you fat fuck, so we're canceled the other one, and you're good to go. So, unlike motherfucking Wendy's, I'm not going to complain about. I'm not going to complain about this anymore. I got a free Baconator, whatever. Johnny, you been doing anything outside of watching MST3K?
Playing video games.
Okay. You're just mostly playing Watch Dogs 2 at this point.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that before we get to the emails.
Yeah, I figured that's why I wasn't being very specific.
Okay. Anything else that you feel that the podcast audience needs to know before we move on?
Just finally got to watch some old KTMA MST3K episodes, which was nice.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen a few of them before, but they were all like really shitty bootlegs that had been recorded back when the show first aired, back when they were on the KTMA network,
right,
in Minnesota, and they the tapes were so degraded by the time we got to a point where they could digitize them that just watching them is fucking unwatchable.
Yeah. I think I might have seen some of those. Like the intro stuff seems like it's real raw.
Yeah, it is. But then as part of the Kickstarter thing, Joel gave 2 episodes of it to Kickstarter backers.
Oh, okay.
Because they found the master tapes for the first 2 episodes of the series.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so they're actually like really decent quality too.
Right.
I mean, it's not great quality because of when it came out and the equipment that they used, but it's also really interesting just because of how jarringly different it is from the Comedy Central, the Comedy Central and On stuff.
Yeah.
Because they didn't script the episodes.
Oh, really?
So it's like the first riff in the entire, like the first riff doesn't come in till almost 30 minutes into the show.
Really?
Like into the movie being played, and it's him going, "Sure, whatever you say."
Right. And then that like opened the floodgates, and they finally started talking, or is it?
No,
real,
it's just
it
like
real sparse?
like it's mostly them being silent, like actually watching the movie, and then like for the first episode, the first half of the first episode is just him by himself.
Really?
And like one of the big jokes that I thought was hilarious, but Amanda was really annoyed by, is that one of the points he leaves the room, and then it goes to commercial and it comes back, and it doesn't come like previously where it would come back and it'd be if they leave the room, then it comes to a segment.
Right.
This one, it just comes back to the movie, and then he walks back in with clearly a bag of chips in his hand, and is just eating the bag of chips really loudly.
Good Lord. Wow.
I thought it was hilarious, but you know,
Okay.
but yeah, it's like Amanda was just like, oh god, Jeff would hate these. Jeff would like literally be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, and it you know, it's one of those things that that it's really interesting to see like where it started, and then and then knowing what it eventually became,
Right.
and just kind of seeing it in that raw state going and thinking like, man, I could do any project, and it could look like shit, but as long as I keep honing it,
Yeah.
eventually it's gonna be good, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like that's actually really inspiring to me. Like I could start something tomorrow. I'm not even saying some type of riffing show,
Right.
though I've always had in my mind that I wanted to do one. But I'm just talking about like just any project. It may look like shit at first, but as long as you keep working at it, refining it, eventually it's going to be to a point where you should be proud of it.
Yep. No, I remember that was a concern that I had way back in the beginning when I was in the loading bar, and it was actually Kevin who said, sometimes you just have to put it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like you can't, if you can spend forever killing your project if you
Oh yeah.
very easily, but sometimes you just got to put it out warts and all and be like, fuck it, we'll just put it out. Kevin's advice to me was always, it was two things: one, put something out, and two, if you're going to put something out on a schedule, make sure you always stick to that schedule.
Yes.
So whether it's daily or whether it's like once a week or whether it's once a month, but make sure that you just stick to that, because people get real tired of waiting for an indeterminate amount of time for whatever your thing is that you're doing to come.
But yeah, no, I mean, and so it's kind of really inspiring to kind of see this thing that, when it came out, it was probably, even when it came out, it was probably still very entertaining for when it was, for when it, when it aired. But it was just like, by today's standards, it's like, my God, this is the worst pile of, like, how did this become a thing?
Right.
Like, like literally that was what Amanda says, like, how did this become a thing? And I think it's, knowing the KTMA episodes, like, what's funny is, like, the character of Servo doesn't even come in until the second episode.
Yeah.
Like, and he just doesn't even have a segment that introduces him. He just pops up in the middle of a movie and goes, hey, guys, what you doing? Mm-hmm. like it's just so fucking random.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was really interesting to watch, just from a like, oh shit, this is not good, or this is not great. Like and I know that they didn't start scripting until they went to Comedy Central, which I think they were toying around with the idea of scripting by the end of the time that they were done with KTMA.
Well, I think, I'm not that I know, but I can still remember the first time that I ever saw Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I think that one of the big things there is just, I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Like, and that they did a really good job of having the right amount of jokes to movie. And,
I mean, if you actually think about it, MST3K is the birth of the Let's Play, or it's essentially what we do.
Yeah.
It's just, instead of riffing video games, it's riffing movies.
And then I remember that I think that it was Giant Bomb with their Quick Looks that was the first place that I really started watching Let's Plays. After that I know that there was started on Something Awful, if I'm not mistaken, where people originally started doing Let's Plays, but it was Giant Bomb after Gersman and Ryan Davis split off from GameSpot that I felt like those were super hilarious. They were trying to do fun stuff. But well, anyway, let's jump in. We got a couple of trailers, and then we've got a weird smattering of news. And I know I say that every week, but every week I'm flabbergasted by the weird smattering of news. I don't know. I should just start noting when it's like, oh, there was a Nintendo Direct, so we have a bunch of stuff to talk about, or something happened.
The thing is, nothing happened. Like we're not going to get any big announcements until probably next weekend, which is when the PlayStation Experience is supposed to happen, I think.
Well, to be honest, there were a few things. There were a few interesting announcements this week, but it was mostly just like there's not a lot to talk about with them. But before we do that, let's jump through a few of the other trailers that came out. First off, I was actually really okay. Before we talk about this, John, I have a confession to make to you.
What's your confession?
I have a confession to make to the entire audience.
Oh God,
and you. I fucking hate The Wizard of Oz.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think it's because I liked it well enough, but I don't think The Wizard of Oz, at least to me, does not. Every time, it's like some movies get better as you watch them over and over again. Like you notice new stuff. I mean, the other day I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy for the umpteenth time, and I was thinking about like I wonder how many people even realize like there's a tiny little thing where when they're in the prison, and they've got the yellow suits, and on the leg of the suit they've got these like it looks like a little barcode, but if you look at it, you can actually suss out like. Peter Quill only has a couple of lines on there, and they're all like red or they're all green and blue, I believe, which seems to indicate from him that this is like larceny and maybe minor assault. I think there's like one red dot. Rocket and Groot tend to have like red and green, and then a little bit of black in there, and black seems to be murder. And Gamora and Drax both have a huge amount of black dots on their leg, and it's like one of those little things where. If you look at it, there's a story there, but you probably weren't looking at it the first time that you saw it. Kind of just fun things, right? But The Wizard of Oz, I know what happens, right? Man, like, I don't find the songs to be super charming after the 1 billionth time that you've heard them. I don't find the concept of the movie to be... I mean, it's fine, and I don't. If you like it, that's great. I don't want anybody else to feel like they can't like the movie. But
I really like to Return to Oz.
Oh, Return to Oz is good because it's fucking creepy.
Yeah,
but original Wizard of Oz, it's just one of those. It might also be one of those things where every year it's like, oh, let's all sit down and watch the Wizard of Oz, and I'm like. I don't want to do that again. I just don't. I'm just not as interested in this as everybody else. It's kind of like my family likes to watch Miracle on 34th Street, which I admit is a good movie, but I want to watch A Christmas Story because I know what happens at the end of Miracle on 34th Street, yet somehow A Christmas Story never... I don't know what it is about my brain chemistry where every time I watch Christmas Story, I'm like... It's like... I don't know the plot to A Christmas Story. Every time I watch it, no matter where I start, when they start doing the marathon, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see if he's going to get that Red Ryder BB gun. He may get it. He may not. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, so that being said, there's a trailer for this thing, Emerald City, that's going to be a TV show next year on NBC. That's, I think you said it best. What, Game of Oz?
Yeah,
probably?
It's like someone went, Game of Thrones is big right now.
Yeah.
How can we capitalize on that? Well, we got the Wizard of Oz license. Well, how does that work? Well, why don't instead of the little people, it's Vikings.
Yeah.
And why not instead of it's all this different stuff. It's just and we just turn it into like political intrigue of Oz and what her coming to Oz, does to the society and in this world, and it's all fucking death and murder and weird
shit. The Scarecrow's literally crucified in this trailer. Like, he's not a scarecrow, he's like a guy with a bunch of hay stuck to him.
If you notice, he's been tarred and hayed.
Oh,
like he's been covered in tar, and then he was covered in hay, and then he was crucified.
Yeah. So I don't know. This looks pretty cool to me. Mostly because I can't. It looks like it's hewing a little bit to the original story, but I like the fact that I can watch this trailer and I feel like I don't know what's going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas and it also looks like it's got a much better production value than what was that Tin Man?
Tin Man, yeah.
Which
the Sci-Fi Channel with Zooey Deschanel.
And just kind of got bored of.
Yeah. Though Tin Man was a sequel to the original Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay.
Because basically it turned out that Dorothy was her great-grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Or was her grandmother or something.
Spoiler alert, John, for a crappy sci-fi series
that came out like
5 years ago.
But if I'm not mistaken, it had a sequel.
Oh, did it? I mean,
a sequel miniseries. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
You gotta get that. I think Oz is public domain now, right?
Probably.
That's probably why they're doing it. But anyway, I think it looks kind of cool. I mean, I appreciate
Looks interesting.
that we've gotten to a point where we can do what looks like good production visuals on it. Like, it doesn't look cheap. It looks nice, not maybe as nice as like Game of Thrones, but still there's interesting stuff going on in this trailer. There's some CGI, there's some magic, the guy with the big lion head, and
there seems to be a whole thing between magic and science.
Yeah,
like magic is dying off, and as more people are adhering to science in the world, and
in any case, I don't know. I like what I'm seeing here.
I want to check it out.
I want to check it out. Yeah, I'm excited.
It's on NBC. I can't remember if NBC is available on Hulu or not.
Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah.
So let's just zip through the rest of these. Cars 3 had a trailer that came out.
A little teaser.
Yeah, a little teaser that's like super serious.
It's like someone hit the 2016 button and said, "Oh God, what have we done?"
Wait, what does that mean?
The 2016 button, just everything's super serious and shit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
it's dark. Everything's grimdark. Everyone, like, someone contacted Zack Snyder and said, "Hey Zack, what can we do to make Cars 3 an improvement over Cars 2?"
Hey Zack Snyder, you hate the Cars universe, right? Do you want to make this new Cars movie?
Zack Snyder's.
So, okay, I was curious. It looks like the audience is still all cars. I was actually trying to figure that out. But, yeah, they're racing around a track, and then it's like Lightning McQueen.
But it's all like super realistic-looking cars, and they never showed the front of the cars, so you can't tell if they have faces.
I think, the audience looks like they have faces. But, yeah, he's flipping over, and there's like a bunch of sparks and fire and shit, and then it's like, nothing will ever be the same.
Yeah, it's like, from here on out, everything changes.
And it's like, well, good. Because Cars 1 sucks. And Cars 2 I didn't even bother to see because Cars 1 sucked so much.
I'm going to bring up something here.
Okay.
Speaking of Cars 1, and this is something that literally blew my mind when it was brought up.
Yeah.
I happened to randomly listen to a certain Brian Salisbury's Junk Food Cinema podcast.
Uh-huh.
They recently did a Junk Food Cinema on the movie Doc Hollywood, starring Michael J. Fox, and pointed out that the first Cars movie has the exact same plot as Doc Hollywood.
Yep. But
blew my mind.
I've always maintained. I like to fuck with people, but I've always maintained that Thor is Cars. Because it's a guy and he's cocky, and then he gets exiled and he has to learn the value of humility and like sacrifice himself. And then he fucking gets to win the day anyway, and yada yada blackety schmackety. I mean, there's a guy with a hammer and there's fewer cars, but it's the same though. But it's a common story, right? It's a story that we've seen a whole bunch of times before. But yes,
people should go listen to Junk Food Cinema.
Absolutely, you should. I wonder if this is going to be. I just have a conceptual problem with cars. Who's building the cars? Where did the cars come from?
Maybe they're in this universe. There's that. There is. Well, speaking
you want
of
to
which,
finish that sentence?
Yeah, this could be a universe where cars are like people. They're born organically. They're whatever. Yeah. But there's also that long running theory. That fan theory where this is the world after Wall-E,
post Wall-E,
where humanity has left Earth and like the machines have taken over and grown sentient, and the cars are now sentient, and then they
evolved.
Yeah,
the machines evolved.
Well, the AIs evolved, and then so the AIs are building new cars and new machines that have personalities and things like that.
It's a weird concept, and the original Cars, to me, is kind of like a turning point for Pixar, where I'm like, this is not like all the Pixar movies before that. I felt like were kind of interesting, like they had a kind of interesting bent to them, and Cars felt like you wanted to sell kids toys, and that just kind of turned me off. I don't know. Maybe they'll get back to it. I heard Cars 2 was garbage. I never bothered to even watch it.
I heard the spinoff, what was it, Planes, was not good either.
What is this? He's a secret agent in Cars 2 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway.
Secret Agent Maynor.
Oh God, Mater. Yeah,
Mater.
Larry the Cable Guy. All right. Speaking of Nothing. Also, they're making another Goon movie.
Out of fucking nowhere.
Yep, Goon 2.
Like, literally, the trailer came out, and everyone went, wait, when was it announced that they were going to make a sequel to Goon?
Yep.
When was it even announced that they were working on this? What happened? Why did this just happen?
So if you guys have never seen the movie Goon with do you know the name?
Sean William Scott.
Sean William Scott. It's a delightful movie. It's real fun. It's about a guy who's an enforcer on a hockey team, and it's just it's a fun little movie. It's not doing anything crazy, but it's just kind of a fun Saturday afternoon movie. I'm a little worried that this is going to try to like trump the last movie and then be. Yeah, and then it's going to end up suffering a little bit of it, where they're just like, "Oh man, we've got to like do a bit bigger than we did in the last one." Because the first Goon was just a fun little movie that anybody could watch.
Well, I'd like to think that because of the fact that like no one knew that they were even making this.
Yeah.
Because typically when they do that with stuff like this, especially with low key movies like Goon.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Goon was never really a big release. It was kind of also a low key release.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like whenever sequels to those kind of movies happen and the sequels aren't really made a big deal of, those also end up being good as well.
Maybe. I mean, it looks like like this one's directed by Jay Baruchel, and the original one was written by Jay Baruchel. So I don't know, but I enjoyed the first one a lot, and so I'll be willing to give the second one a chance.
Yeah, I've actually never seen the first one. I keep meaning to.
Oh, you should. So good. So good. And last but not least in the movie trailers, I've never heard of the movie Passengers before, but now I want to see the shit out of it because it's in space and it's got what's his face, fucking Star-Lord, and Katniss Everdeen running around on a spaceship with
actually, it's
Wesley
if
Snipes
you really want to be specific, it's Star-Lord and Mystique.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's the crossover that Marvel and Fox didn't want you to see.
And Wesley Snipes is a bartending robot. Wesley Snipes as Isaac.
Wesley Snipes?
In a 30 Rock, that actor plays a character called Wesley Snipes that's terrible. He has a fun little thing where he's like, where Liz Lemon is like, "It's weird that you're named Wesley Snipes." He's like, "No. If you looked at the two of us and you were asked which one of these two people should be named Wesley Snipes, you would pick the pale British man, not the African-American fucking action hero." But anyway, this looks really good.
It does. It looks really good. I mean, this is the second or third trailer I've seen of this.
I had never heard of it, which, I mean, like, I don't go seeking stuff out, but I mean, you know, I'll see ads and stuff on YouTube. I just have never heard of this before today. It was kind of like Lego Batman last week, right? Where I just... also, you know what I like a lot about this trailer is that Chris Pratt. I was about to say Pine, but that's not right. Where Chris Pratt is not like quippy.
Yeah,
it looks like just a serious thing, and not like I'm gonna be Star-Lord /
Oh no, there's this great scene in the first trailer that I like, where he's controlling a little remote control robot that is like comes up to her and hands her a note, which is basically, "Would you like to go to dinner? Check yes or no." And she's just like, "Are you seriously passing me a note?" And then the robot just shakes its head yes, because he's controlling it to do that. And she's like, "You're actually controlling the robot, aren't you?" And it shakes its head yes again. And she kind of laughs, and then does something, and then hands it back to the robot. And then it's like cuts back to him, and it's like she opens it, and it's a check mark that says yes. He's like, "Yeah."
Okay. Also, what, Andy Garcia and Larry Fishburne?
Yeah.
Very briefly.
Lawrence Fishburne, yeah.
He was once billed as Larry. I can call him Larry Fishburne.
Back when he was on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah. Cowboy Curtis. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, I want to see it.
And then, of course, you know, I mean, there's actually been like 6 more Rogue One trailers, but you and I have talked Rogue One to death. And at this point, I feel like just go see it. I'm just going to go see it. I'll let you guys know when I've seen it. I think next week...
You'll know. Oh, trust me, you'll know.
I might try to go see The Arrival. I keep hearing really good things about The Arrival. But
excuse me, I've heard good things about that, too.
Kind of my sense of weird sci-fi.
I still need to go see Doctor Strange.
Yes, you do. So anyway, with that, let's get into the news. And first things first, after many months of silence, Hello Games came out and they announced the Quotey Fingers Foundation update for No Man's Sky. Now, this is apparently the Foundation moniker is twofold. One,
Yes.
it's going to be the beginning of base building for
Yes.
people, and then second, it's also going to be a foundation for what they are going to be trying to add things back into the game in future updates.
Yes.
Now, this brings up a couple of really interesting questions. First up, I'm curious to know how base building will work, considering, like, is it you just build a base on a planet and then what does it do? Does it generate resources? Does it... Because the bases that we've seen haven't really done anything. I mean, you go in and you open up some treasure chests, right? That's basically what it is. So it's going to be... Because they also... They did a dickhole thing that I don't like it when developers do. Not that I'm not trying to just drag Hello Games behind my car, but like I hate it when companies, because they were basically just like, we're doing this update, we're going to give you a 2-line description, and more details will be coming later. And I'm just like, tell me more. You know what you're doing. Tell us something more about what's going on here. So, one, I'm interested to know what exactly the benefit to doing a base build will be. Like, I actually always thought that it would be better if you could build onto your starship more than you like build a base on a planet, because if you ended up going to the middle of the universe and by the time you got there you ended up with like a giant mothership that your little fighter could dock with, that you could walk around and decorate and do stuff
there were
with,
people that actually thought that those bigger ships that you always see like in battles or whatnot, that those giant like ships, that you'd be able to eventually get one of those and you would have your own like ship inside that you would dock inside of it. So that you could travel further.
Yeah, which would be cool. And it would also give you a place, considering the limited amount of it would take care of one of the big problems of No Man's Sky that I had, which was the limited inventory space, right?
Yeah.
If you had a chest, right, that like in Diablo, where you can put some stuff that you're not using right this
and maybe
second.
the base building will be that.
Maybe it will. But the real question that I have, and it's a question that we've asked multiple times, but we'll come back to, I'm sure, multiple more times before the video game industry is dead and buried, whenever that happens. Is this too little too late? I mean, there's a shitload of games out right now. There's more in December, and then we got stuff on deck for January as well, right? Q1 has become a hotter place to put out games, and it's like, I just don't know. I mean, good on Hello Games for not just abandoning this and going like, got your money, see ya suckers, fuck you, whatever, bye.
Yeah.
Because at this point, everybody's calmed down about them.
Yeah, sort of.
A little, yeah, well, as much as video game fans can be calm about literally anything. But they could kind of just get away with it. And by get away with it, I mean just the game they put out wasn't what people expected, etc.
And on top of that, they're not doing a dickhole move of being like, well, here's the update, the DLC that adds that thing for an extra $20. You can get all those features that you wanted.
Yeah.
And no, they're doing, hey, it's free update. Here it is. We're going to do other free updates as time goes on.
Yeah. So that's good. But then again, the question comes back to: is
it too little, too late?
Is it too little, too late? Like this time next year, like let's say that No Man's Sky gets really, really good. I mean, I guess people are still playing, Witcher and Skyrim and GTA, and I guess I have a weird perspective, right? Because I play every new thing every week, So
yeah. I will say this: I like the game enough that, for what it actually was, that when this update comes out, I might be willing to give it another chance. Now, I also know that when it comes to that game, I was less upset about it than everyone.
Sure.
I was in the minority of being like, it's all right. I like
it's video games, John. It's serious business. We all need to get really upset about it.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid we think about.
So I'm the outlier there. There might be some people that be like, well, I bought this game and I couldn't get a refund for it, so I might as well, try it out.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, if they do end up with a good game, it could be, one of those things where you come back later on and you're like, hey, this is good. I mean, we've had games before that launched that were pretty crappy. I guess what I'm maybe getting at is that to me it feels like your amount of time between, it's so damaging these days, especially now, to launch a game with either features missing or bugs or messed up. I mean, Mafia 3 is a good example of how they put out that costume DLC and I was just like, well, I'm already done with that game, so I don't know that I have any interest in going back and playing it. But it'll be interesting, actually, maybe to have some folks weigh in the comment section and let us know, if they do an update, are you interested in going back to No Man's Sky? Like, let's say that in 6 months, No Man's Sky has been patched to the point where it is what it originally looked like it was going to be, and you can do the things that you saw in all the trailers. Would that be enough to bring you back in? Because, they did make a significant amount of money on it, so they've got some time to, do updates instead of just moving on to the next thing.
I also wonder how damaging them being so quiet about the whole kerfluffle.
In these days, I don't know that they would have. I try to think about what they could have gained by
saying anything,
because the people that were upset, I mean,
they were going to be upset no matter what.
Well, it's one of those things where, there have been times on the podcast where I say something wrong on a video or I say something wrong on a podcast, and I tried my best to do this stuff, but I feel like there's some people where it's like, what's going to make you happy? And the only thing that's going to make them happy is a full refund of No Man's Sky, regardless of how long they played it, and Hello Games coming out and obsequiously apologizing and giving them $20 worth of credit on whatever network they're on. That it's this huge thing, and part of me is like, I understand you being mad. I definitely understand that, but there has to come a point in this where, if you had waited a week and watched a few YouTube videos, you could have known whether No Man's Sky was going to be your thing or not. I feel like it would be perfectly simple for you on the day it came out to watch some YouTube videos. And so here's a perfect example to reiterate the Rage Select policy. Do not pre-order a game, especially not on the PC for No Man's Sky. The amount of PC ports that have had problems in the last 6 months, I wouldn't pre-order a PC game for nothing, right? And then if you're on the fence and you aren't totally sure, wait. Because Aliens Colonial Marines, everybody was hyped about it. It turned out to be not so great. We just got done playing Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs 1. I spent a year watching everybody. The first time that they released that Watch Dogs 1 trailer at E3, and I was on the Loading Bar podcast, and I was like, I don't know. I need to see more. Let's wait and see it. They were like, Jeff, you hate everything. You're not excited about everything. And I'm like, well, no, but I've been burned before. And you, listener, if you haven't been burned so far, then don't put your hand on the fucking hot burner. Wait and see. They're not going to run out of digital copies of the next game coming out anytime soon. So, yeah. That's my... Okay.
But what if it has that sweet pre-order DLC?
No, you don't need it. You don't need it.
You don't know.
You don't need it.
No, you got to have it.
Which one? Which was the pre-order DLC that was actually any good?
Goldberg for WWE 2K17.
I should know you pulled WWE 2K out on me.
Because otherwise I'd have to pay $10 for that character.
Yeah, but they're a special kid. They're a special brand of a-hole over at Ukes, all right? They do things
over at 2K Games.
Yeah. Wait, it's
2K Games.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not.
Ukes is still developing it though, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
I mean, it's some of that team, but I think they're now fully under 2K.
Oh, they've been folded into 2K Games. Anyway, so just, protect your neck, as the Wu-Tang Clan says, and don't pre-order shit. And if you're on the fence, wait and look at a Let's Play. Maybe on this website like RageSelect.com where we try to play all the new games that come out, maybe. Or maybe somewhere else.
Or maybe look at a beta or a demo on the Super Awesome Video Game Show of a game that's going to be coming out that you want to play.
Yeah.
That seems like a smart thing to do.
Yeah, you should do that. All the cool kids are doing it. I don't know. All right, next up. This is actually kind of it's strange that we get a lot of these news stories every week, but this one is kind of exciting to me. So apparently Blizzard is hiring staff for a as yet unannounced first-person shooter game.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of job listings that Blizzard is recruiting for, quote, a work on a robust first-person engine for an unannounced project. There's not really a whole lot of information. They're looking for an engineer and a tools person. They state the game will be on multiple platforms and requires experience from first-person or other action-oriented games. Now,
it's Diablo 4.
Oh, I gotta tell you, you know what I hope it is? I hope it's the single-player campaign for Overwatch. I hope it's like a single-player, story-driven Overwatch game.
It's finally StarCraft Ghost comes out.
Oh God, yeah.
It's a new take on Lost Vikings.
It's the first person shooter of Lost Vikings.
No, it's Blackthorn.
It's the new Blackthorn.
They're bringing
game.
Blackthorn back. Oh my God.
They're never bringing Blackthorn back.
You don't know that
They're
those
never doing it, John.
I worked at Blizzard.
Yeah.
Those fuckers love Blackthorn.
Okay.
You don't know how much they fucking love Blackthorn there.
All right, fair enough. But this is interesting, and I bring it up because I was playing Overwatch last night, and I realized I played more Overwatch this year than I have Dark Souls 3, and that's fucking nuts. Like, Blizzard, go good on you, Blizzard, and I can't wait to see whatever this is, and I really hope. I mean, do you think they would do a story-driven first-person Overwatch game?
No.
You don't think so? It's too pedestrian.
Yeah.
You got to be doing something different.
They're going to do that. It's going to be Blackthorn.
It's kind of okay. Not a MOBA, not Overwatch, not Diablo, not Warcraft. Warcraft first person? Nah, that doesn't really work. Something new, another new IP. I don't know.
Like I said, it's either going to be Lost Vikings or Blackthorn.
You hung up on this Blackthorn thing, man.
No, now that I thought about it,
You
it's
gotta
like
work with me here.
That's the one outside of Lost Vikings. That's the one franchise that they still own the rights to that they haven't really done anything with.
Rock and Roll Racing.
Well, okay, yeah, Rock and Roll Racing, but I doubt that's going to be a first-person shooter, Jeff.
Hey, you don't know? They're bringing first-person shooter mechanics to Rock and Roll Racing. All right.
So weird. But yeah, so I mean, like yeah, fucking Blackthorn,
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
or it's some entirely new IP. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just excited because I feel like Blizzard had been doing until this year with Overwatch. Blizzard, I mean, like Diablo 3. I like Diablo 3. Diablo 3 is a good game. It is more Diablo, right?
Yeah.
The new expansion for World of Warcraft. I don't have any problem with World of Warcraft, but it's more World of Warcraft. StarCraft 2, kind of more StarCraft. Overwatch, something new, different, interesting, cool, fun, blah, boom, boom, boom. So I encourage more new things from Blizzard.
So I'm going to tell you what I think is going on.
Okay.
And this is me being 100% serious.
Okay.
This is not based on any past insider info that I got 5 or 6 years ago when I worked at Blizzard.
Yeah.
This is just my personal opinion and take on things.
Okay.
I just wanted to stress that real quick.
All right.
I honestly feel like there was a period where Blizzard focused on World of Warcraft. Like that was their bread and butter, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And they were so focused on that. The only reason we got StarCraft 2 and got Diablo 3 is because it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
It just looks better, and it implements some new mechanics in both. And
Sure.
It's not
technically good. I mean,
yeah.
very good
Great games.
Right,
Love both of those games. But it's just more of the same. And while they focused all of their new ideas on World of Warcraft.
Well, then I guess Project Titan running in the background.
And then, Project Titan kind of running in the background. And then when Titan kind of fell, and then also Warcraft, they saw the writing on the wall with World of Warcraft, saying, okay, well, our subscribers are slowly going down.
Sure.
Yeah, we may get a slight bump whenever we do an expansion, but it's not enough that this is gonna tank.
It'll eventually fizzle out.
It'll eventually fizzle out. And that's why they were really focused on Titan. And then when that kind of went away and eventually became Overwatch, I think when they actually probably when Titan failed and ended up becoming Overwatch, during that period, Blizzard as a company went, okay, if we want to continue as a company, we need to kind of not just keep putting out the same old shit.
Yeah.
We need to come up with new ideas. We need to come up with new things. And there was a period where they were working on StarCraft Ghosts, which has been shelved. They've always stated that it's not fully canceled, though I think they might have just incorporated the story of what that was into that DLC.
The Nova mission pack.
Yeah, the Nova mission pack, though I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that with the fact that Overwatch is doing as well as it is, they're now kind of like, okay, we need to kind of do some new stuff.
Sure. Which is great.
And I think that's great.
Overwatch has, just to reiterate for the millionth time, Overwatch has done a thing that I didn't think was even possible, which is take first-person multiplayer headspace away from Call of Duty, Team Fortress 2, and Battlefield.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been playing Overwatch. I think it's such a smart game. They just added that update with the playlist, the arcade playlist. That give you a loot. Like every week, you can get those 3 new crates or loot boxes or whatever they are, and that's made me play Overwatch more because I'm like, you know what? I like the crazy ass nutso modes that they've put in that you can win to do those. I like, I was telling John I was playing last night on a game mode where everybody on both sides is all Reinhardt except for one Lucio, and I ended up being that one Lucio, and it was so fun just roller skating around a big dog pile of Reinhardts, fucking breaking it down, and let's drop a beat, and I was like, yay, because I love playing as Lucio. So yeah, I hope that this is. I kind of hope that this is. I hope it's Overwatch single player content, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's something brand new, like you're saying. So
yeah.
Speaking of Blizzard,
I also wouldn't be surprised if it was actually Blackthorn. I may have been jokingly pushing that earlier.
Yeah.
But I actually wouldn't be surprised because I'm not joking when I say they fucking love Blackthorn over there.
Okay.
They've all been yeah, Blackthorn is the one franchise that they've always wanted to come back to, but never really could find a reason to do it.
Okay.
And
maybe so.
Maybe
the amount of garbage, amount of money, with the amount of money that Overwatch is dragging in, they're just like, we get a freebie. We get to make one for free. We get to make our own special thing.
Yeah. But it probably is something completely new.
Yeah. Speaking of Overwatch, the Symmetra changes are onto the PTR server.
Yeah, the public test realms.
And if you haven't watched read the test notes, what did we change? The lock-on for the blaster is a little bit longer. There, you can now bank all 6 of the turrets instead
this
of only
is for
3.
Symmetra.
For Symmetra. Mm-hmm. The shielding individual people has been replaced with it's like a Reinhardt shield that she shoots that just moves forward, which I was watching somebody play that, and I was like, I don't know how. It seems like a real weird thing that a good Symmetra player could probably start anticipating the enemy team coming and actually save their team by shooting a shield towards them that's going to go in between that person and the enemy fire. And then she now has 2 ultimates. So you still have the portal, but they were talking about how the portal on the maps where you start with the first capture point, then you back up to the second capture point, that the portal is useless on the second capture point because it's so close to your team's spawn when you're on defense. So now instead she can put down a shield generator that basically gives 75 shields to anybody in this pretty large radius around where it is. And the shield generator can be blown up, so it's a thing you have to kind of tend to. I was watching somebody play. It seems like good changes. It seems like they took into account the reason that people would switch off of Symmetra or not choose her in the first place and tried to do that. And I was actually trying to think of examples from, Team Fortress, Battlefield, or Call of Duty where they have this level of...
Well, I will say with Symmetra, it's always been weird to me because she's a support class.
Yeah.
And I didn't really feel like there was, even though, she had the shield thing, I never really felt like she was a support character.
Well, all the rest of them heal, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't.
Yeah. And I do feel like these changes do make her a little bit more support.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely the shield ultimate is much more useful than the portal a lot of times. Because the portal, it also, you only get 8 goes through the portal, and then the portal just goes away on its own.
Yeah.
Which always makes me feel guilty about using the portal because I'm not very good at Overwatch, and I'm probably going to get blasted. So
all 8 turns are going to be you?
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 of those 8 turns. I only just recently realized that there was a number on them. So
okay.
But yeah, they're on the PTR right now, and they should be they'll probably be out into the main servers by I don't know what, mid-December, unless they
probably.
And then they said they're going to do their next Osiris map, I believe, is after that. This is the next thing to roll through PTR into the main server. I'm just flabbergasted at. I mean, I shouldn't be, but I'm just flabbergasted at the amount of support that Blizzard has put into Overwatch.
See, I'm not surprised by that. That's again, having worked at Blizzard, I knew that they were going to support something like that from the beginning.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's such a great example to point to for other corporations where you can go like Blizzard, and especially the stuff that CD Projekt Red does with the Witcher series. It's like, this is what you should be doing. Companies, you should be, if you support your game and you make it better and better and better and better and better, if you use the patching system that we have right now to enhance your game instead of fixing something that should have been fixed before it was released, or both, right, that you can get a lot more mileage out of your game.
But even going back to that, look at they still support StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
And they still support Diablo 3. Diablo 3 just got a fucking or is about to get a new fucking character.
Right, yeah, they're fucking putting the Necromancer in there, and Diablo 1's getting, Diablo 3's been out for, God, I think we looked at Diablo 3 on the loading bar.
It was on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, so, it came to the Xbox 360 like a year and a half after PC.
Yeah.
So.
And it's on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Yep. All right, well, next up, Uncharted 4 is getting a survival mode. There is a big old flaming pirate dude. This is basically looks like it's just 50 waves of co-op play. There's a trailer out there that says you can play by yourself. I don't know why you would want to play a mode like that by yourself, but this is another one of those things where I kind of wonder. I mean, I guess at the Uncharted 4, there's probably still people out there playing the multiplayer. Like, I know that Uncharted 2 and 3 both kept updating their multiplayer for a long time. But yeah, 50 waves and a bunch of different kind of game modes and specials. I'm interested in what's up with, like, there's a flaming ghost pirate at the end, and that's the thing that confuses me.
Yeah.
But I want to know what it is. I don't know, John, would this make you play Uncharted 4 again?
No, because I actually never played it.
You never played it in the first place?
It's weird because I rented it and never played it.
Okay.
And then I returned it.
Okay.
Because I wanted something else.
Well, there you go. You borrow my copy if you want.
I'll probably play it at some point. Too many things I got to play right now, Jeff.
Yeah. December's no slouch, man.
I know. Fucking Dead Rising 4.
Yeah, well, there's more than that. There's more than Dead Rising 4.
Not to me.
Really? What about Akiba's Beat, John?
Don't care.
What about, you don't care about the sequel to Akiba's Trip?
Nope.
Coming in December?
Nope.
What about the Last Guardian?
Nope.
No? What about Yakuza 6?
Yakuza 6?
Yeah. December 8th.
Is that PS3?
No, PS4.
I thought.
Oh, did it already come out on the PS3? I don't know.
I didn't even know there was a Yakuza 6. I thought it was.
Let's see here.
I'm confused.
PlayStation 4, December 8th, 2016.
Oh, okay. All I knew about was Yakuza 0.
Yeah, that's because that's the one that they've been getting out there. So no Last Guardian for you. No. Steep. You're not super psyched for Steep.
After we played it for Super Awesome Video Game Show, I think I'm okay with it.
No, you're not excited anymore for Steep.
I was never excited, Jeff. If anything, it only confirmed how unexcited I was for that game.
What about oh yeah, all the rest of this is real garbage. Super Mario Maker for the 3DS, Werewolves Within for the Rift Vive and PSVR, Dragon Ball Fusions for the 3DS. No, none of this.
No, just Dead Rising 4.
Did you go pick yourself up a $99 new Game Boy Advance, new 3DS?
No, again, I'm broke. I've been broke for these last this whole month.
Why do they have to have it? Fucking, I was about to say Indie Friday.
Well, every place,
Black Friday at the end of the month.
The thing that sucks is that, from what I heard, like all places that got all stores sold out of those $99.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because apparently stores only got 20 or 30 copies, units, and Amazon did the really stupid thing that pissed a lot of people off, is that the day before Black Friday, basically Thanksgiving Day, they put it up for pre-order.
Oh.
And so
they were all sold out.
They were all sold out, and no one was going. The people who were going to go buy it on Black Friday didn't bother going because they were like, "Oh, it's not going to be up until Black Friday," and it's like, "Nope, it's up for pre-order." So everybody who pre-ordered it got it for that Black Friday pricing, and then apparently later in the day they did get more, but then those were sold out in 5 minutes.
Look, Nintendo's been shit between that and the NES Classic about actually making enough of these things for people to buy them.
Yeah,
that sucks because the new 3DS is actually a really good piece of hardware and people should totally get it.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me. If I'd had the money, I probably would have tried to get one.
Well, let's go back to Yakuza, because speaking of Yakuza 0, my favorite, we only had 2 trailers this week, and my favorite trailer is this Yakuza 0 nightlife trailer, because Yakuza 0 takes place in the 80s. It's all going out and doing stuff and all the little Yakuza mini games. It looks really fantastic, John. The graphical fidelity of this game looks pretty damn good. But there's one part that I love more than any, which is this calling up a girl for a date. And it's the main character has the phone whisked back and it says, "Dial up a hot date." And then it's there's this picture of him. It says, "I'll try complimenting her voice," and then there's this weird thing that says "manly voice" and rainbow. I don't even know what's going on in this, but I love it. It's so crazy bananas Japanese. I just like and then like going out on a date and playing pool and playing old Sega games. Apparently, you can go play Rad Racer and Space Harrier, and you can dance. And then there's like ladies wrestling. They're not even in mud or anything, just bikini wrestling ladies. And karaoke. And oh man, it looks great because it's all 80s and it's so stupid looking and I love it. Like this guy even gets on the Rad Racer or motorcycle motocross or whatever in a super dramatic way. Yeah, I can't wait to play Yakuza 0. I can't wait to play Yakuza 6. I like the Yakuza games.
Yeah, the Yakuza game's great.
I mean, last year that Yakuza 5 came out right at the end of the year when I was trying to catch up on stuff.
Yakuza 6 coming out right at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I also like the business edition.
Yeah.
Where you get a business card holder and like some like business cards for
the characters in the game.
For the characters in the game.
Yeah.
Mishima?
What's that?
Is the character's name Mishima?
The one in there right there, I don't remember. This one is Kazuma Kiryu. I actually.
Well, Kazuma's the one with the eye patch.
Oh, okay.
Isn't
Okay.
he?
I don't remember. It's been so long since I actually played one of these. This was the one time where I was like, Now, as far as pre-order bonuses go, a Yakuza business card holder. That's pretty money, right? Like, that's a thing I could actually use. I don't need an RC car, night vision goggles, or a model of the Resident Evil 7 house, but I could use the business card holder to put my business cards in. Man, oh man. Do you have business cards, John?
No.
I
should get business cards.
They're so cheap and easy to get.
Oh, I know. I should. I constantly think about like I should totally get business cards.
I have a whole box of them over there because like to get to E3 every year, they're like, all right, send us a picture of your ID and your business card. I'm like, I don't fucking have a business card.
And then when you go to E3, you hand out your business card.
Yeah. Nobody uses business cards.
They do at certain restaurants. You put your business card in a thing, and sometimes you can get like a free burrito at Chipotle.
Yeah, that's the only time that I've ever been. And then, of course, I don't carry any of them with me, so I'm like.
But if you would, if you had this awesome business card holder.
Yeah, I just end up leaving it at home full of my own business cards.
God damn it.
All right, so next up on the hit parade, turns out that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, people put their money where their mouth was. Apparently, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare only came up to 1.8 million copies in its first week in the U.S., which is compared to 3 million copies of Black Ops 3. And at the height, I believe Modern Warfare 2 was something like 10 million copies the first week. So I think that they had expected the Modern Warfare Remastered to boost their sales numbers, but people weren't having it. And I got to put my hands together and clap and say, good on you, gamers, because the only way that Call of Duty is going to do anything but churn out some new Drek every year is if you don't buy it. And it looks like people aren't really buying it. Aren't really buying what Activision is selling. So I personally kind of liked Infinite Warfare, but I totally understand why people wouldn't. I mean, it's all robots and space and Marines and shit like that. That's definitely a way to make Activision think about what they're going to do next year. What do you think they're going to do next year for Call of Duty? Historical? World War II?
I think they're going to go something historical. They're probably going to do World War I or World War II or something, or they're going to try to pull something completely out of left field.
Okay.
I think do like Revolutionary War or something.
Maybe Vietnam. That'd be kind of interesting, right? We could do Vietnam. Anyway, so speaking of when I was talking about Resident Evil 7, apparently Resident Evil 7, now if you buy it on the PlayStation 4, you can use it with PlayStation VR, but if you buy it on the PC or the Xbox One, apparently you can transfer your saves between those two versions.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I don't know. This isn't a Microsoft published game, so it's probably not going to have that Play Anywhere thing, right?
Probably not.
Which means that
you'd have to buy both an Xbox One and a PC version.
Yeah.
Probably. We're theorizing.
I think so. Let's see. Capcom is cross-compatible. I'd be willing to bet, given what I know about Capcom, there's no way that they'll sell you both copies for $60.
I mean, I'm going to get it on PS4. Like, I don't even own a PSVR, but, like,
You get there just in case.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I mean, I do plan on eventually buying a PSVR. I do want to buy a PlayStation VR. Like that is actually something I've already made my decision to buy at some point.
Yeah.
When I'm not financially hurting, like I have been this entire second half of this year.
Yeah.
And and that's one of the games that actually I want to kind of play it for. I want to play it for.
On VR?
On VR. I want to play that. Like, that seems like, again, I know we've had the conversations before where you said that that's not the game that's going to sell VR. That's not, no one gives a shit about, Final Fantasy, or not Final Fantasy, about Resident Evil for VR.
Ish. I mean, I don't think it's high profile enough.
Yeah.
But that's
but that's one of the games I'm actually really hoping for is a good experience, is the same experience as if you were playing it without VR or with VR.
Sure.
Just the difference is the level of immersion.
Yeah.
And I think that could be really cool.
I do too. It's just not cool enough to spend $400 on.
Apparently you can actually play the what is it, the demo thing with the PlayStation VR.
Oh, really? Okay.
So.
Yeah, it was funny. I was actually at a GameStop buying Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I had to go to a different GameStop, and I was in there and I was like, "You guys got those PlayStation VRs?" He's like, "Yeah, we got like 2 of them here." And I was like, "It's too bad I don't have any money." All right, bye. Thanks. Yeah, it seems like it just seems to me like a very strange feature. Like, why would you need to do that? Why would you need to transfer your saves between? Who's going to have both the PC version and an Xbox One version and need to switch between the two of those? So.
I mean, if it was cross-buy, like with if it, like with Gears of War and Forza, if it was like you buy it on that, you also get it for the PC.
Yep.
Like, then yes, that is totally something you could do. I mean,
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, next up, we are into announcement territory, and our first announcement is that apparently the new Walking Dead game is coming out December 20th. So there's another thing to add to the December round of stuff. The Walking Dead: A New Frontier is coming out. The first episode is coming out on December 20th. John, do you have any interest in The Walking Dead?
In any shape or form, no.
Okay.
I only played the first season of the Telltale games of Walking Dead, and I didn't even beat it.
Yeah.
It sucks because Amanda and I wanted to do a Let's Play of it, just me and her together, wanted to do a Let's Play of the entire first season for a joke.
Yeah.
That was only going to happen in the last episode.
Yeah.
And that was infinitely funny to us. And then I think Grant ended up making that same joke when you and him did the last episode. Like, he ended up making that joke, and we were like, well, fucking shit.
Fucking Grant.
God damn it. But yeah, I had bought the entire first season, like, we're going to totally do this. And then that happened. And
Was it going back and forth between the different responses?
No, it was when she shoots the dude at the very end. I'm trying not to be...
Oh. We didn't play the last episode.
Yeah, you did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember more than I do.
Yeah, because
we played the first one of season 2.
No, that you played the last. Like, you did play the last episode. It was either for a Patreon or something, but you guys did play the first episode or the last episode of the first season.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And Grant made the fucking joke.
Okay.
And it was just like, God fucking damn it.
Well, I mean, I don't recognize anybody else in this because I don't.
Well,
it's been so long.
It's
but
Ellie's story. Clementine.
Clementine is definitely a bit older.
Yeah.
Because that guy looks just like Joel from The Last of Us, except younger, and not quite as haggard and or grizzled. But yeah, keep an eye out if you're a fan of Telltale shit. They're still throwing all the Telltales at you. There's an update coming out for Dishonored 2 this December.
Hey.
Which specifically is going to add, again, one of these face-slapping moments, New Game Plus, which apparently is not in the game right now.
All right.
Which is nice.
Well, as long as it's not a pay-for DLC, it's good.
Yeah, there's also going to be some new difficulty settings. So, yeah. Star Wars Battlefront, this was last week, is announced their last of the DLCs that they have is going to be Scarif Rogue One, which looks like from the trailer, the scene where all the walkers are on the beach. It's going to put in Jyn Erso and Orson Krennic as new heroes for both the Empire and Rebels, and 4 new maps And yeah, I gotta say, man, I'm so tempted. The complete edition of Battlefront, if you have PlayStation Plus, is like $11.
Yeah. That was one of the games I was like, when we were talking earlier about the Black Friday sale, I was like, there's about 3 or 4 games. That was one of them that I was kind of like, the complete edition, I might as well just buy it.
Yeah.
Because I fucking might as well. And
what sucks though is that
I'm broke, so
I already bought a bunch of the DLC, and then I went to just be like, well, let me just buy the season pass. I already own the game. The season pass is still $30, but the weird deluxe Cyber Edition is on sale for it's like $14, and then if you have PlayStation Plus, you get an additional few bucks off of it. So I don't know. Might have to take a look at that. Speaking of Battlefront, the Star Wars the Galaxy in Turmoil, remember, was the independent, it was going to be Battlefront, the guy that wanted to make a new Battlefront.
Got the cease and desist.
But it was kind of cool because LucasArts was like, hey, it's not up to us. We license Battlefront to EA, and it's their decision. We don't care if you make it, but EA has the final.
You got to change shit.
You can't do this. So they went back to the drawing board to basically un-Star Wars their Battlefront game. It's going to have a single-player mode. It's going to have a multiplayer mode. Apparently, it's getting a demo at the end of next year. And apparently, at that point, they're also going to be doing some kind of Kickstarter/fundraiser. But, these guys are stand up, and they said, we don't want to ask for money until we have a version of the game that you can play so that you know whether or not you should give us your money or not.
Yeah.
So, good on you.
Here's an idea. Here's a thought.
Okay.
And then tell me if I'm crazy here.
Crazy, John.
You're starting a small dev studio. It's you and some friends, and you decide, you know what? I really like Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
I want to make a spiritual successor to Brutal Legend.
Yep.
But I'm going to do it with punk bands and local bands that I can totally get the rights to and things like that.
Sure.
But no one's going to, no one Brutal. I mean, the Brutal Legend, everyone loves it, but it wasn't a surefire hit thing or whatever. So Brutal Legend, you're gonna basically be like, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time, remake some assets from Brutal Legend, make them myself, but they look like Brutal Legend.
Yeah,
and then be like, oh, I'm gonna release this free fan game, that's gonna be the sequel to it, and then eventually, knowingly, Double Fine's gonna come at you and go, no, stop that.
Yeah,
and then you go, shit, well, I have been working on, it's we converted everything to be a completely and totally original IP that's inspired by that.
Sure.
Here's Kickstarter. Part of me always wonders, do these people sometimes think of that ahead of time? Maybe, what if,
they're playing the entire time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's what's going on in this case.
Sure.
But I always wonder if some of these people who are making fan games, the people who are working on that Metal Gear Solid remake or whatever, if they're going, we want to make a game that's like that, but that's very clearly inspired by that, but we want people to know about our game. So what if we purposefully break copyrights but claim we're doing it as a fan thing?
Yeah.
And then when we get the cease and desist, which we know we're going to get, then we go, oh, well, we conveniently change things up so we could actually still release the game, and this time we can actually sell it and make money off of it. And now we have a little bit of publicity because people have heard about us.
I think that in a lot of cases, I don't feel like that's the case because, the Metal Gear 1, they just got shut down. They didn't. I'd be more than happy if they were going to take all their Metal Gear HD assets and make a new stealth action game that plays like Metal Gear out of that. But they just shut it down. I keep coming back to if you're going to do it, you have to do the AM2R thing where you put it out when it's done, or Metroid or Pokemon Uranium, where it's you're going to put it out when it's done with no advance warning. You're going to put it out on Friday afternoon when all the copyright lawyers are already on their way home, and you're going to hope to get one weekend where people can download and distribute it before you get cease and desisted on Monday.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be good. We talked about this back when they first launched assets for it, where it's what the fuck are you doing? Don't list it on Steam until it's done, a-hole. Don't make a Star Wars is not everybody's. It belongs to a company that jealously guards their copyright. So, especially now that fucking EA's involved with it. Goddamn, EA's litigious and unpleasant to deal with as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, a couple more real quick, and then we'll be done here. You remember that System Shock 2 remake?
Yeah.
Delayed to 2018.
I kind of figured.
Yep. They're going to take some more time to get ready. That's Night Dive Studios. They got $1 million on Kickstarter to do a remake. And last but not least, John, I have a special treat for you.
Oh, we do?
Guess what's coming to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch next year?
Are you actually asking me to guess?
Yes.
This is a gift that we have for them, and I don't know about it, and you're asking me what it is?
It's a gift to you from the video game industry.
To me?
Yes.
Specifically?
Yes. It's a game that didn't get a lot of love, and a game that I know that you do enjoy quite a bit, that is coming to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch next year.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, because there's a lot of games like that I love that I
Pick one. Throw one out there. Just throw it out there. First one off the top of your head. Bada bing, bada boom. John Sitton Experience. This is John Sitton Blues Explosion. What do you got?
I don't know. Like I literally am drawing a blank because you put me on the spot.
The whole podcast is on the spot. Lego City Undercover.
Oh yeah. I love that game.
Yep.
And I did know about this.
Yep.
I wasn't thinking about it because yes, I told Amanda about this when the news was announced, and Amanda flipped her shit.
Yep.
She was like, "Well, we're getting it," and I'm like, "Well, of course."
Yeah. One of the few Lego games that was another one of those games that kind of came out around a bunch of other stuff, and so I just gave it to you and Amanda after we recorded.
No,
for it.
we bought that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we bought that for the Nintendo because that was like a launch title.
Oh, wait a minute. No. I think that like you brought your copy to the loading Barmageddon. That's how it worked?
Yeah.
Okay. I just assume all games belong to me, John, until
Apparently.
otherwise.
No, we bought that because we fucking like Amanda loves that game. Like
yeah. This is the Grand Theft Auto Lego, basically.
yeah, except you're a cop, and it's great. It's funny. It's honestly the only Lego game that I've actually. It's one of the few Lego games I've completed from beginning to end.
Okay.
Because I tend to get bored with the Lego games after a while. Mm-hmm. But this one, the writing is supremely smart and funny and good from beginning to end. And it Amanda still uses terms that are like dialogue terms that are used in there. Like there's one character that doesn't call computers. He calls them compupers. Mm-hmm. And she still calls computers. Like that's how she just says it. So it actually even spawned the fact that she calls our dog Poopy. Because it's actually just a computer version of saying puppy.
Okay.
So she just calls it her Poopy.
Okay.
I call her Poopy because she poops a lot, but
I call my dog Poopers, but I don't know why. Anyway, so it's coming out, and that's great because it was one of those games that was a Wii U launch title, and the Wii U was such a fucking devastated wasteland at launch that, I mean, it was okay. I was basically playing Zombie U, right?
Yeah.
Never got around to it. But yeah, I'll be interested to take a look at it. So that is our news for this week. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Watch Dogs 2, and then we're going to answer some questions. So everybody stick around. We'll be back. And it's time, John, for the questions. Are you ready for the questions?
I don't think it's time for the questions.
Okay, well, there's another thing first before the questions, I admit. Mail@RageLite.com is the email address if you want to send it in. I'll say it again. Actually, right before we get to, we'll talk a little bit about Watch Dogs 2, but right before we do that, I would like to say that I was thinking about my screaming and bemoaning about pre-orders on the first part. I know a lot of people have written in over the years to basically say, like, hey, I do pre-orders so that I can make sure that I have take the money out of my account now. So
Yeah,
that
I do that too.
Okay, so the only thing I'd like to say is if you're doing that, at least if you have a game pre-ordered, maybe do it from a place that'll allow you. Like I think that some GameStops will allow you to transfer a pre-order money to a different game at some point. Don't they let you do that?
As long as you're doing it before the game comes out.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. That doesn't really apply though. Just I don't know, man. Like pre-orders.
Like I got to do it with one game on its release date because of the fact that they claimed to not get copies of it in, and then tried to claim that no stores got copies of it in, which was a flat out lie.
They do that all the time. They're such liars.
And then we went and bought it at another store, and then came back and said, "Yeah, we'd like to move that pre-order to a different thing."
Yep. Well, yeah. Before we get to the questions, Watch Dogs 2. Well, John, I like to give Ubisoft a lot of crap. I really do, because they have problems. But I can't give them crap for Watch Dogs 2.
No.
Watch Dogs 2 is great.
Yeah, I like it.
I love it. It basically did all the things that I wanted Watch Dogs 1 to do, and they finally listened. It is basically the Assassin's Creed 2 to the Assassin's Creed 1, which is Watch Dogs 1. For those of you who have never played Watch Dogs or don't know anything or live under a rock, why are you listening to this podcast, first off? But second off, Watch Dogs 2 is the story of
Marcus.
Marcus, what's his last name?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. I keep wanting to say Phoenix, but I know
that's Gears of War.
I know that's not right. Basically,
he is not related to the Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
Yep. So Watch Dogs 2 takes place in San Francisco, California, and basically the conceit of the game is that San Francisco has been completely wired up from top to bottom with this new CTOS, this computer system that basically controls everything in the city, cars and phones and computers and the stoplights and everything. And you play as Marcus, last name as yet still searching for. It just says Marcus. Marcus Holloway. There we go. A hacker who has come. And you start out the game, basically, Marcus is a character who has been unjustly dinged by this thing, because part of this game is that the CTOS system is so embedded into people's lives that you can use their browser history, you can use all this stuff to basically build a score for how a person can be. It's kind of like the one Black Mirror episode, but it's kind of like a score that law enforcement and corporations and other places can use to basically decide your value. And it basically takes into account browsing habits and buying habits and all your social things that you do online, et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, it also uses that information to predict whether or not you're involved with a crime.
Sure. Yes. So at the very beginning of the game, Marcus is basically trying out for our good buddies over at DedSec, the fucking hackers, man.
The San Francisco chapter.
Yep, and he's going in to erase his digital footprint and prove that he could be a hacking hacker, the hackiest of all hacking hackers that ever hacked a hack. And from there, you join up with DedSec, and I gotta say, John, I thought that in the first game, I did not like DedSec because it was just like, ooh, look how edgy we are. Oh, we're DedSec. We're hacking the planet, y'all. And it was the greasy dreadlocks guy, and then
Ray.
like the one, there was like a lady that was kind of mysterious, and but these people, I like them.
Yeah.
I legitimately like the little kind of group because they're all like these weird 20-something weirdo hipster hackers. And at first, I kind of like roll my eyes at it, but the longer that I played the game, the more I'm like, oh no,
They felt like real people.
yeah, they're endearing. You got Wrench, the guy with the mask on, who has the eyes that have different little emojis on them.
Him and Marcus totally have a bromance going on.
Absolutely. They've got who are the guys? Josh,
Who is autistic?
well, he's
Or-
on the spectrum.
He's on the Asperger's spectrum.
Yeah,
Which and I love the way they treat his character.
Yes.
Like, it feels like a very realistic situation where they all know, that he's, the way he is, but that doesn't like make him any less valuable. They treat him like an actual person.
Yep.
They deal with his issues that he does have.
Yep.
But it's all done like he's an important character. There's a lot of shit that they wouldn't be able to do without him.
Yep. He's and it's great to just kind of see that representation there. You've got Horatio, who is kind of his role in DedSec.
He's kind of that guy who's also there. That he's actually the one that I was most disappointed in because when you first meet them, he's the thing that cracked me up is that when you first meet them, they're like, it's like, oh, hi, my name is such and such. He's like, hey, how's it going? Mark is like, hey, how's it going? Then it's like, this is Josh. Hey. And then it's like, yeah, hey, Josh, how's it going? It's like, oh, and this is Wrench. Yo, man, what's up? Hey, what's going on, Wrench? And then it's like, and this is Horatio. Oh, man, how's it going? Come here, give me a hug. Kind of like just, and it just cracked me up. Just as like, of course, the two black guys are gonna be like that.
Oh, they actually have a lot of really good dialogue. Like, there's a place where there's a whole mission. This isn't really a spoiler alert, but there's a whole mission where Marcus has to go with Horatio to his job.
I'm about to do that mission. Yeah.
And there is so much kind of just base dialogue where Horatio, basically they use it as a way to have commentary of Horatio going like, I hate working in this place with all these fucking uptight white people who are all, and they do like. The first Watch Dogs, the whole point of Watch Dogs is the kind of the idea of like technology intruding on your life, and what would it be like, kind of like a modern day wizard, right? Like if you had the ability to just look at people's phones and stuff.
Yeah.
But in the first one, all they used it for was
Like-
this crap ass revenge story.
Yeah, like the story wasn't about the technology. It was about him getting revenge and how he could use that technology to get what he wanted.
Right. Whereas the Watch Dogs 2, it's so core to the plot line. They've got a villain. I don't even remember the guy's Bloom is the villain who's just kind
His
of
first
this,
name might as well be douchebag.
yeah, who's just like this. He's such a contemptible Silicon Valley CEO who's just on top of everything. He's so arrogant and just. And he's also got a top knot and a big beard, which just
And he
makes
wears
me like,
sweatpants all the time.
yeah, he's like your typical kind of like evil hip CEO, and he's like, as you play through the game, there's a number of different scenarios about like, well, here's how the police are abusing the system, and here's how this their version of Google Noodle, here's how Noodle is abusing the system, and here's how this company is abusing the system, and here's how so they spend a lot of time using the fact that the technology exists to make commentary about what life is like in the 20th century and digital footprints and hacking and stuff like this, and it's fucking fascinating.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's great.
it's so much better than just like, oh well, I gotta, it's just like the first one felt like a GTA ripoff, but you had cyber powers.
Yeah.
Right? Also, I don't want to go on because you also have Sitara, who is another kind of disappointment as a character, the character who's the graphic designer at DedSec, and she's an okay character, but she never really gets a spotlight. She mostly, it's just like she's the one who all the DedSec hack stuff all has this weird digitized 1950s movie poster vibe to it, kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of weird in that the way they treat it is Horatio got all of them together because
Yeah.
he was apparently prior to this part of DedSec in Chicago.
Yes.
And when he left Chicago to come to San Francisco, he started up the San Francisco DedSec. So he got them all together.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of have this, well, there is no leader. We're all, together, all for one for all kind of thing.
Right.
She was kind of the leader.
Sort of, yeah. She's kind of the den mother, but it just kind of sucks that, like, there's so many conversations when you're driving somewhere between Wrench and Marcus that are just, they're amazing. Even just some of the real brief interactions that Marcus has with Horatio, that Marcus has with Josh. Sitara, not as much. And it kind of sucks because it only stands out. It's not, the thing is, it's not offensive. It's just that the rest is done so well that I feel like she kind of got short shrift as just like, oh, girl, do the art. You're the art girl.
But she also does hacking, too.
She also does hacking, yeah. But like her whole sub quest is like you got to go put up a bunch of posters in places. And
I did think a lot of the stuff with her backstory was interesting in the fact that she's actually from a wealthy family.
Okay,
like she's like
really get a lot of that,
she's her family is like super rich, but like in another country.
Yeah.
And like she saw what life was like being, just basically they could never work another day in their life, and the next 3 generations would be
fine.
Would be fine. Like that's actually how they explained it. Is like her family could stop doing making money, and like 3 generations of family would be perfectly fine to live before they'd have to start going, okay, we need to do something to get money again.
Yeah.
Like they're that filthy rich. And then she saw how, and then basically comes that she saw how other people were had it and went, wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, and kind of turned on her, turned on the ideals that her family had, and kind of went into this kind of like she moved to the States and got away from, just totally abandoned and wanted to get away from her family and stuff like that. Like that's all, that was all interesting to me. Like I felt like at the point I am in the game now, because again, I'm not like super far into it. I think I'm about halfway maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I'm starting to get stuff about her, and to hear you say that there's not really anything done.
I mean, I look at Horatio's story with the whole noodle thing and like the way that they used a lot of that, and Wrench has there's a kind of a personal subsection of stories that have to deal with him. Josh doesn't really get a whole hell of a lot, and neither does Sitara. Josh is mostly just there,
The one-offs.
Yeah, you kind of talk to him a little bit, but I mean, and the thing is, I want to make sure that I really emphasize this. It only stands out because those other characters have a lot more to them than Sitara and Josh do. There's a point later in the game where Sitara, her relationship with another character in the game starts to really more define who she is, but it's a lot of kind of like growly, like, you better not try to fuck with us kind of thing. Whereas, the bromance between Wrench and Marcus is the best thing.
Well, that was apparent from the very beginning, like during the trailer for Cyber Driver, where he's like, hey, the Cyber Driver trailer comes. Oh, I got to be over there, and you get over there, and the cutscene's like, all right, you ready to watch it? We're gonna watch it on the big screen. He's like, you haven't watched it yet, have you? No, bro, I've waited for you.
Yep.
Oh man, you're bro.
They have a 5-minute conversation about who would win in a fight between Alien and Predator. That was just like, I was just sitting there like, this is amazing. This is so awesome. And that's one of the things that I hate about Ubisoft, right? Is that this is a great game. Like if this had been Watch Dogs 1, it would have been wonderful. But they put out this weird kind of too safe kind of like they just went for it.
Well,
there's a lot
I think the problem was with Watch Dogs 1, and I still say this. Watch Dogs 1 was originally supposed to be modern-day Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe when they ripped out all the Assassin's Creed stuff that it got way duller. Like there was a bunch of Templar stuff in there that they took out, and then it became dull, right?
Yeah, and then I think they just didn't know what to do with it, so they went with what was quick and easy.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately didn't make for a good game.
Yeah. But this one, I mean, I don't even know how it's gonna age, but like even the quests are great. There's a Scientology subquest.
I feel like when the first subquest in the game is the farmer bro,
yeah.
I feel like
Martin Schlumpf,
the game might not age super well.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, it's
but you know
okay.
what? I think it actually fills a really good niche when it comes to open world games.
Yeah.
Because like Saints Row is berserk, right?
Yeah, this is like Saints Row Light.
And GTA, like the story of GTA 5 will age very, very well.
Yeah.
But this is interesting because it captures a much more like I'm not a criminal, so I don't really like relate to Michael or Trevor or them, but like I kind of like the whole digital culture, kind of computers and young people and doing stuff. I really do, and they've solved so many problems from the first one. The clothing options in this game, there's a billion of them.
Yeah,
there's a huge amount. The only thing that I'll give a little bit of a knock to is the fact that since he always has that dumb bandito scarf
mask,
to pull up, like whenever you're wearing a V-neck shirt, he's just got this weird stripe around his neck that looks a little bit off. But this game, like you get money and you could spend the money and you can go balls out, you buy guns and bombs and throw bombs at people, or you can get a stun gun, you can buy different cars, you can buy different paint jobs, you can buy different clothing, you can buy all these unlocks, and you get this money from doing from picking up doing subquests or picking up stuff, and then there's a whole upgrade tree. And I got to the end of the game and I couldn't fill it all the way out. Like I had to specialize in a few different places.
I'll even go as far as to say that, and this is something I actually have talked to you about before.
Yeah.
That kind of irritated me with some of the reviewers.
Yeah.
About the game.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought that as I'm playing it, the more it infuriates me more. Is that a lot of the reviewers like, oh, one of the biggest complaints I have is that you play as this character that's very much we're doing good for the betterment of people, and then we're doing everything for the right reasons, and then turn around and I'm murdering people, and I'm making guns with my printer and shooting people in the head and killing all these people, which seems just to go against what the character actually is.
Yeah.
And like I'm playing it, I've never, outside of the one gun they force you to buy.
Yeah.
I've never bought another gun.
Mm-hmm.
I've never even used the gun that they force you to buy.
Yep.
I just use the stun gun. I never do anything that's
lethal.
Like lethal. I mean, you probably could like taking control of a car, and then turning it, and possibly could.
I've run over my fair share of people.
Yeah, stuff like that by accident. I feel like is, but I mean, like they're like, oh man, I was just completely taken out of the game because I have to go kill all these cops, and it's like I've never killed a cop. It's like I'm playing this game and I'm already halfway through it, and I don't do half the stuff that they're claiming that they have a problem with. And it's like they're like, these games have a problem, these shouldn't have even been in the game because it's so against what the storyline is telling you that these characters are like and what they would be okay with. And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, but you chose to do that.
Yeah,
like they put the choice there.
Yep.
They didn't tell you had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to all I use, and I know you did this too, is the drones, which I think are the most fucking amazing.
Yep. Yep. You start out with we'll if you don't mind, we'll just
Go ahead.
chuck off to one side here. Is you have 2 drones, and if there is one knock that I have on this game, it's that they make you buy the quadcopter, and it's kind of expensive. Like, you're going to have to play a little bit of the game without it. I would much rather have had them tie that to a reward from a mission than from, like, I wish that instead of, because you 3D print all your guns and stuff, and you can 3D print the quadcopter, and it takes a fairly decent amount of in-game money to do it. Like, you're going to have to go either work at it, or you're gonna have to do a bunch of missions to get that money before you can do it.
Yeah,
but
or I will say one good thing is the Ubisoft Club thing. If you're part of the Ubi Club or whatever it's called, there is like one of the free things is like
there's a bunch of money.
It is in-game cash.
Yeah, I didn't do that until close to the end of the game. But when you have these two, you've got the little 2-wheel rolly jumpy drones, and then you've got the quadcopter. And the way that it's really elegant the way that's set up, because the quadcopter can fly. And you can mark enemies, so you can throw your quadcopter up and mark all the enemies. The thing is, the quadcopter can't interact with anything, and so there's some terminals where you have to physically...
It can hack. You can hack from it, but you can't...
You can digital hack, but you can't...
physically do anything.
Some of the terminals require, like, an actual physical interaction with them, and Marcus can do that. Or your little drone pal can roll up to them, and he lifts up his little arm. He's got a little hacking thing that he plugs in, and then you hack the thing.
Yeah, and the drone also has also can pick up items too.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you see like collectibles and things like that, the drone can pick them up without you having to do it.
Yeah. So by the middle of the game, I'd put a lot of points into drones. My scenario was, okay, here's this thing you need to infiltrate. And I'm like, okay. So I drive up in my car. I throw out the quadcopter, mark everybody. And then I throw out the little rolly drone. And I'm like rolling behind people. And later on, you can make it make noises. You can make it put down distractions.
Oh, I love the insults it yells out.
Oh, yeah.
The fuck you.
And the nice thing about it is that if they see it and they'll destroy it, that... there's a countdown timer, there's a cooldown until you can throw out another one. And so by about halfway through the game, I was fully stealth, fully non-lethal, and unless they made me do it, which only 2 missions made me actually make Marcus do stuff, and one of them was the last mission of the entire game, my army of robots was doing this. And when I go back, Marcus is just sitting on the ground with a laptop fucking like, and I was like, great, this is what I want, because the way I wanted to play this character was not as a running up and punching people in the face guy, but as a like, hey man, I've got technology and I've got hacking skills and I've got all these things. I don't need to do this. So there were missions where I've got Marcus parked in a corner and I'm flying a quadcopter drone through an office building trying to find the right vent to go through to get to the CEO office to hack their terminal. And I'm like, this is great. This is what I wanted the first one to be.
And actually what I thought was interesting is the first thing I thought of the first time, because at first I didn't realize you could use both of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. I thought you can only use one at a time. And then when I realized you could use two, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is like they went, hey, Grand Theft Auto 5 has this where you have 3 protagonists and you can switch between them on the fly.
Yeah.
Well, what if we just have one protagonist, but he has 2 other things that can act as characters?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they come up with the idea of the vehicle, the remote control car. And
I don't know what to call that thing.
Yeah.
It's also a drone, right? Like a rolly drone, right?
Yeah,
okay.
the remote control car, and then the RC car, and the quadcopter.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more interesting than switching between 3 characters.
Sure.
And like that was immediately once I made that realization that I'm essentially going into a building with 3 separate characters. Mm-hmm. Like that just made everything better.
Yeah. Because the Cornelius Rolly drone could go through like vents, and there's a time where you get it's got a jump, which is actually interesting because Marcus himself is not as nimble as a lot of other Ubisoft like Assassin's Creed protagonists. Yeah. Like he can get up, on top of a few things, but a lot of times it's like, well, if you're going to get that, you're going to use the jump function on the drone, which you can actually upgrade to jump like way far, and then you can even upgrade it to do like a dash and then jump, so you can jump between buildings by the end of the game with that little rolly motherfucker. And I don't know, the whole thing was great. I mean, eventually, I had my drones upgraded to where they could drop stun mines, so it's like, oh, I've got Rolly guy is hiding from this guard, and then I'm going to put one of these things over here and do an audio distraction, and the guard's going to go over there, and I'm going to just zip behind him. I did find it's a little silly, especially when you're using Marcus. It's not as silly when you're using the drones, but it's a little silly when you're using Marcus, and like you can trigger a distraction on somebody's phone.
Yeah.
And so when you're stealthy and there's a person that's literally facing you and you can like hit them on their phone and they go to pull out their phone and then you literally run like right in front of them and they don't notice you because I guess Facebook is just that interesting in the Watch Dogs universe.
It's called Invite. It's called Invite.
Invite, yeah. The Invite is super. I do though like too, even down to little details like when you distract them on their phone, sometimes they look at them and be like, "Oh God, why? Which one of you sent this to me?" Like, but outside of a few things, and I never really did the online. I
ended up turning it all off because I started getting invaded.
Oh, okay.
Because when they turned the multiplayer on earlier this week,
yeah,
I just started getting invaded all the time.
Yeah,
and it would be like while I'm in the middle of an important mission, and it's like you've been invaded. You forget what you're doing and actually pay attention to this person who's hacking you.
Right.
It's like I don't care.
Yeah.
But no, you need to stop them because this is going to cause you to lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, how do I turn this off?
Yeah.
And then just turned it all off.
Which you can, and it's easy. It's just a toggle.
Well, the problem is there's like 4 settings you have to turn off to get it to turn off completely.
Well, there is that. The other thing that I found really weird, and this is a real weird thing, but it really did irritate me, is you have to click and hold L3 to run.
Yeah.
And there is no setting to change that to toggle where you just, like most games when you're running, you go in a direction, you click in L3, and then you start running, right?
I actually think that's a trend in a lot of Ubisoft games lately.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It was a little irritating. I mean, the gunplay, I didn't do much of it because I didn't really feel like it was really great. But, I mean, it seems like you
really
could
good with the stun gun.
The entire game if you wanted to. You can get fucking machine gun with a grenade launcher on it and fucking start blowing people up. There's also a bunch of other things that you can do. I have to say, I love the fact that you can control cars, finally.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the previous one, you could control, like, intersections and pipes and stuff. But there were times where I was driving, like, at Mach 2 in a pimped-out car, and, like, all I'm doing is there's a car in front of me, I'll just hack it, make it turn right. Hack it, make it turn right. Hack it, make it turn right. So it's just like I'm on the highway blazing at 200 miles per hour, and everybody in front of me is just like...
I will say,
traffic.
some of the things you could quote unquote hack,
Yeah.
started to like break my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can hack the engine of a car so that it will go faster than it's supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
AKA, you get NOS.
You get turbo.
You
yeah.
get the turbo NOS.
And a green fire comes out of the back of it.
And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
But anyway, I we need to get on to some questions here because I think we've been...
But I really like the game.
I really like the game, too. I thought it was really fun. I think it's totally worth $60. I mean, I think if you could find it on sale for $40 during the holidays or even next year, if you were turned off by Watch Dogs 1, Watch Dogs 2 really is a big step in the right direction. It's also got there's some weird stuff like I don't understand why you can fast travel to any of the shops on the map, but you can't fast travel to the missions. So it's like every time you get a mission, and it's a little bit away, you have to like fast travel to a shop and then get a car and then drive over there.
I just drive everywhere.
But
because I like driving around.
It's fun. It's really fun.
I also like the little the Scout app, which is basically Instagram. And it gives you little things like go take a picture with this person, or go take a picture of this landmark, and like you can just take a picture of them. You can take a selfie. You can actually
do
take
other stuff in the
You
selfie.
can take a picture with of like put go to a video camera and take a picture of that thing with a video camera. You can take a picture with the drones.
Yep.
Like you got some of the options, and then they'll little comment on them, and you'll also get like experience points for doing them and stuff like that.
Oh, there's so many sub things to do. Like there's a whole. Did you do any of the Drive app stuff yet? Where it's like Uber basically, where you have to go to a place.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that I did one of those, and it was okay. So this is how like I really like this game. I really like it. If that's not already apparent, but like so I decided to do one of them, and I just picked the first one on the list because it was near me, and it was like I pull up, and this woman comes out, and she gets in my car, and she's like, "Hey," and he's like, "What's up?" She's like, hey, I've got a YouTube channel where we do sick jumps. Do you want to do some sick jumps? And Marcus is like, all right. And so she like starts live streaming from her phone. She's like, hey, followers, today we're going to do some sick ass jumps. And then you have to go around San Francisco and basically do a number of sick ass jumps to like level up this thing until you get 5 stars and you get money for doing it. There was another one where a guy's like, oh man, I've been trying to find one of those Bloom drones. So you have to get like an off-road car because you're going to be going off-road in the mountains trying to follow this drone as it's just flying around, and the guy the entire time is talking to you about his conspiracy theory and how they're all like, oh, they're controlling you with this and this. I like everything about this game. I like the fact that when you go to take a selfie, if there are NPCs behind you, they'll literally mug for your selfie or point at you or whatever.
Yeah.
I love the interactions NPCs are having on the street when you walk by
the
them.
only problem I have, if I had one complaint, is that I've heard the same 4 conversations repeated as nauseum.
Oh, okay.
Even though I know there's more than 4 conversations in the game. Like that, I really wish there was a little bit more randomness with that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the same complaint about early access video games. Like some dude bitching about early access. I've literally heard it like 6 times in the span of an hour.
Okay.
And it was just like and it's the same voice, it's the same guy, but it's a different like NPC, and it's just like I really wish they would vary these up a little. I mean, because they have more. There's just I'm not seeing any variation.
Yeah, but it's good. And I recommend it.
Yeah, I do too.
Probably the best open world game I've played this year so far. Trying to think of other open world games. I think it's better than Mafia 3. I don't think.
Yeah, definitely.
It's technically like better fun, and it's good. I'm glad that they did something good with this franchise instead of just letting it kind of rot or doing the kind of the same thing now. I just hope that they take their time with whatever the next iteration is to make it bigger and better, because it's got an interesting kind of conclusion and it's fun. So.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, let's jump into some questions. All right. Our first one this week comes in from Ruskles. Oh, my God. Ruskles says, hello, Jeff and John. I have 6 questions for you today.
Dear God.
So you can either pick a number between 1 and 6, roll a die, pick and choose which one you fancy, or if you're starved for questions, try to go through all of them. We have already spent so much time talking about Watch Dogs 2. John, pick a number between 1 and 6.
4.
All right. Question number 4. You are vying to become president of all video games. What insane games related pledges do you promise during your campaign? Do you promise to make Steam great again by removing Steam Greenlight? Do you ban DLC for your term, or something far more insane?
Ooh,
president of video games. I'm going to get rid of pre-order DLC, and I'm going to get rid of a lot of other things too. Okay, so let's see. Pre-order DLC, that's out the window. Any game company that's cutting end-game content from their game to sell back to you, that's a big no-no too. I'm going to say the thumbs-up, thumbs-down system on Steam needs to be revamped. I'm going to pledge to make Steam give you a thing where you could toggle off VR games when you're looking through the list of games on Steam, because fuck, there are too many VR games, and I don't care because I don't have a headset to look at them on, so I want to be able to uncheck that box and just look at non-VR games.
Trying to think, what's a good platform to stand on here?
Yeah,
that I could think I could win with.
The problem with this particular question, John,
it's too open-ended.
Well, no one is gonna. There will be nobody will vote in a majority for anything when it comes to video games.
True.
It's worse than the American presidential election. It's going to be 8 candidates that all get an equal 22% of the vote, or whatever that is. That's not right. Anyway, you want to pick a different one? You pick a different question, something that has a little easier to do?
Let's do 2.
Okay. With the end of 2016 on the horizon and everyone considering their games of the year, I felt it was time for you to consider the Mediocre Game of the Year awards. Here's a list of 9 games that came out in 2016 that didn't completely bomb but also didn't set the world alight. You'll have to choose a Mediocre Game of the Year out of that pile. Feel free to add or subtract games as you wish. And the nominees are The Division, Homefront: The Revolution, Mighty No. 9, Star Fox Zero, Mafia 3, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, No Man's Sky, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Battleborn. Rise of the Tomb Raider came out last year, Ruskles.
It came out, well, if you count the PS4 version.
I'm not counting the PS4 version.
Okay.
Game came out last year.
All right.
So out of those, which one is your mediocre game of the year? Which one is the most mediocre? Let's establish real fast.
Yeah.
We're looking for the most mediocre of the mediocre games listed here.
Mighty No. 9.
Mighty No. 9?
Yeah. Because I know people got upset about that game and like really hate it. My problem with it wasn't that it wasn't good. It was just kind of bland.
Yeah.
And I feel like out of all those games, that was the most bland, mediocre game. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either.
I am going to go with Homefront.
Okay.
No. The Division. I'm sorry, not Homefront. The Division.
The Division. Okay.
Because the Division, I was doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and I didn't really feel like the story did anything. So I will give it the full Immortan Joe mediocre. All right. This next one comes in from Carl. Carl says, "Hi, Jeff and John. I'm thinking of buying myself a PS4 in the new year. Now that there are 2 models to choose from, I was wondering which one you would recommend. I initially liked the Slim, as it's relatively cheap, and being the base model means all games have to run on it regardless. But looking at the Pro, yes, the games look better, and it is only an extra £100 for the additional power. However, I wonder, being this far into the console cycle, shouldn't I just wait for a few more years for what Sony announces as the PlayStation 5 for a full upgrade of my PlayStation experience? Thanks, Carl from London."
Well, first off, I don't think it's going to be 2 more years and you're going to have a PlayStation 5.
I don't think so either.
That's not the fact that there is a Pro is proof that that's not going to happen.
They're juicing this generation longer, so...
Having said that, the big question is, do you have 4K? Do you have 4K with HDR? Do you give a shit about 4K with HDR?
Yeah.
Or HDR? Because if the answer is, yeah, I have a 4K TV, it's badass, then yes, get the Pro. Get the Pro because that's going to be what you want that for.
Or you have plans to get a 4K TV.
Yeah, or if you have plans. But if you don't give 2 shits about 4K, like 4K is like, who cares? I got my LCD TV. It's great. It's not 4K, but the pictures look great on it. I don't need to upgrade anytime soon.
Yeah.
I just need to play my games.
Yeah.
Slim. I mean, like you said, it's one of those things where all games are going to have to run on it. Mm-hmm. And as far as right now, this second, if you were thinking about getting a PlayStation VR, from what I've read, the games that are out right now don't look much better on the Pro than they do on the regular PlayStation Slim, because we're still at the beginning of that, and a lot of the developers that are developing for PlayStation VR didn't have the hardware for the Pro.
Okay.
So again, the big thing goes back to, do you care about 4K? If you do, meaning that you plan on getting a TV that's 4K, or you have one already, Pro's where you got to go.
Okay.
If you don't give 2 shits about it, get the Slim.
I disagree.
Okay.
Mostly, and for me, it's mostly from a financial perspective. Is if you're planning on making the big ticket purchase of a $300 console, I feel like it is better for you to just throw the extra $100 on top of it and get the Pro now. Then, if, let's say, on down the line, we get into a situation where games start to, which could unfortunately happen, where games start to look and or run significantly less well on the PlayStation 4 as than on the PlayStation 4 Pro, you're going to kind of end up kicking yourself for not just chipping in that extra $100 now, because it's going to be more to buy a PS Pro if you decide in the future that you want to upgrade, whereas all you're thinking about now is adding an extra $100 on top of the price that you're looking at, which is already, what, $300 for the regular and $400 for the Pro? Is that where they're at right now?
Something like that, yeah.
But I would also warn you, just last week we had a story about World of Final Fantasy and how it looks like garbage on the PS Pro. Like, it's much blurrier. Like, it's all way weirder and blurrier, and there's like some jaggies along the edge of it. So right now they're still kind of teething, but I would say that if you're going to spend that money anyway, I would say spend the extra money now so that you don't end up, because, who knows, 2 years from now, if the PS4 Pro is still the standard, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if both Sony and Microsoft started to make kind of develop for Scorpio and the PS4 Pro, and with the base units as an afterthought, because that's the kind of scumbag thing that I expect from video game companies these days. But that's where I would go with it. And then, of course, it's kind of what they call it, future-proofing, right? So that if you do decide you don't have any plans to get a 4K TV now, but 2 Black Fridays from now, there's a bunch of 4K TVs on sale for $700, and you're just like, I just got some money from grandma, and this, I've got a little bit in the bank, and I wanted a 4K TV. The only thing I guess that also you should take into consideration is the fact that, as we've reported on in the past, the PS4 Pro, you can only stream 4K. You can't actually, it won't play 4K DVDs or
No.
4K Blu-rays?
No, it has no support for 4K Blu-rays.
Which is, I just don't understand.
Which is weird because the
It's
Xbox
so-
One S totally does.
Yeah. So that's a weird one. I don't know. You might also think about the idea of getting a PS4 regular and then taking that extra $100 and investing in saving up for Scorpio. That way you can at least spend a little bit now. It kind of depends on how all into the PlayStation ecosystem you're going to get, right? Like if you're planning on getting VR, I would say that getting the Pro is probably a good investment for the future. But if you're kind of like, especially if you already have something else to play games on. So
Yeah.
anyway. This next one comes in from. Wait a minute. Was the last one from Ruskells? Was the first one?
The first
from
one was
Ruskells?
from Ruskells.
God damn it, Ruskells!
Did you send another one?
Yeah. Fuck. All right. This one comes in from Pedro. Pedro says, "Hello, Jeff, and super awesome, sexy, and sexually vigorous co-host John.
Thank you.
This is Pedro from the freezing city of Chicago with a question about player skill. I recently purchased a subscription to Xbox Live and started playing Halo 4. Seeing as how I was not really that good with the previous title in the Halo franchise, I was prepared to just have fun even if I died a lot. However, to my surprise, I discovered that I was actually good at Halo 4's multiplayer. I'm not the best in the leaderboards or anything, but I kill more than I die, and I win more matches than I thought that I would. My question to you is, have you ever played a game in which you believed you weren't going to be any good at, but to your surprise, you found out that you were at least a decent player? Single-player games count as well, if relevant. Thank you for reading my email. And go Chicago Cubs, bitches. 2016 MLB World Series champions. Pedro, I don't...
They're really excited about the fact they finally won the World Series.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't know what that means.
They won the World Series.
Oh, that's like your bases ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they finally fulfilled the prophecy of Back to the Future 2. It just came a year late.
Okay, fair enough.
But no.
Game you thought you weren't going to be any good at.
Overwatch.
And you found that you were good at. Overwatch.
Overwatch, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Overwatch.
Yeah.
I did not expect to be very good at Overwatch, and I'm actually pretty decent at it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably going to be my answer as well. I mean, I spend so much goddamn time playing video games that I'm like, I know the games that I'm good at, and I know the games that I'm not so good at, and if it's driving or mostly online FPSs, those are the ones that I'm really terrible at. And yeah, I don't always get play of the game, but when I do, it's fucking spectacular.
You know what?
So.
I'm gonna add one other thing to this.
Okay.
And this might actually even surprise you.
Okay.
With the exception of one component of the game.
Yes.
I actually did surprisingly better at Steep, the demo for Steep, than I was expecting to when I took the controller from you.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna totally. I'm doing tricks. I'm doing shit that Jeff doesn't even know how to do yet.
Damn
Fuck
right.
yes.
Yep. There you go.
Tony Hawk paid off.
Yep. No, Steep. I am at a crossroads, John, because I don't want to cover Steep, but there ain't nothing else out at the end of next week.
In the section I'm talking about, the only exception is the hang gliding or the paragliding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shit at that, and I still don't understand how it works.
I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one other one out there. Not MOBAs. Heroes of the Storm. I'm not good at, but Here's a Storm I'm not good at, but I have a surprising amount of fun actually playing it.
What was that? What was that? One that looked like that everyone was saying was a ripoff of Overwatch.
Oh, Paladins?
Paladins.
Oh, yeah, I actually surprisingly had a lot of fun, and I thought that I was doing pretty well at playing Paladins.
Yeah.
That's a good one for that list.
Yeah, you did really well at that.
Single player.
I was surprised as well for you.
Of course you were.
I was like, this is going to be a complete shit show.
Of
and then
course you were.
Next thing you know, you're actually not doing bad. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Overwatch and Paladins, I seem to have the opposite thing where when I try to play by myself offline, I'm garbage at it. When we play on a stream, I'm like surprisingly just having a lot of fun. So. And our next question comes in from Edmund, who says, "Hello, Overlord, Jeff, and Bestie Lord John." I don't know how he knows that you're here, John.
Because I'm always here, Jeff.
Okay.
With the exception of like once every other week.
I have played the Assassin's Creed series up through Brotherhood and enjoyed the games thus far. After hearing vaguely about the less than satisfying conclusion to Ezio and Desmond's story in Revelations, I was wondering if I should skip it and move to Black Flag or sit down and take it for a spin. Thanks, and hope the coming holidays are wonderful for the Rage Select staffers from Edmund. So, first off, Edmund, Ezio's story ends with Revelations, but Desmond's story doesn't end until the end of Assassin's Creed 3.
Technically, Ezio's story ends in a animated movie called Assassin's Creed 2 Embers.
Okay.
Which is actually on that Ezio collection.
Oh, is it? Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as Revelations go, I think that the Ezio part of Revelations is fun. I find the Desmond part of Revelations to be kind of dull, but I would say if you've already played Brotherhood, I would finish Revelations.
Yeah.
To
get the full story.
Yeah. Now, after that, boy, that's a tough proposition. Like, if you really care about Desmond and you really want to see what happens to Desmond, you can play Assassin's Creed 3, which I personally think is kind of like, I don't like it all that much.
Strangely enough, the Desmond sections of Assassin's Creed 3 are actually the best sections of that game.
Sure.
And they're not that great.
No.
Like, they're not as good as the sections as, say, Assassin's Creed Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood.
Yes.
Like, the sections for Desmond in those are a lot better.
What does he do in those? It's not this before he's in a coma, right? So
yeah,
like
this is whenever
he's
you
at Mario's,
where you can actually
the
leave
villa.
where you can actually leave the Animus at any time, and then it goes into Desmond, and you can actually walk around.
Okay,
like you don't have to actually adhere to their time periods of when.
And then the last one, Revelations, was like the weird first-person cube puzzle bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so unpleasant.
Yeah, that's the one where you're in the coma.
None of them are as good as the finding the what the secret glyphs in 2. That was the best little kind of modern day minigame thing. But you know what? It's so cheap. I would say, you could skip it. You could jump straight to 4, but 2 Revelations is, I like 2 Revelations. There are a lot of people who are just like, that story was over at Brotherhood. There was no reason for Revelations, but I liked all the little bomb making things that they added in there, and you still have your little assassin bros that come down.
Yeah.
And I like Ezio, so seeing this kind of older Ezio doing his thing was fun. Plus, the Assassin's Creed 2 did an interesting thing where they refined like every from 2 to Brotherhood, they definitely refined the entire formula and made things more interesting. And then from Brotherhood to Revelations, they did it again. Was Revelations one where he has like more like zip lines as well?
Yeah,
he played like a big role in that one.
Yeah, because that's when he went to the country and like one of the assassins had that hook.
Oh, on the bottom of the blade, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend it, but I'm kind of a sucker for Ezio, so all right, this one comes in from our friend Jujitsu, who says, "Hello, Ragecasters. When it comes to RPGs like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, how OCD are you when it comes to picking up every item, killing every enemy at least once, and completing every side quest? I personally like the fact that games like Bloodborne require you to find certain missable items to even fight the final boss, which in fact rewards you for being tenacious and doing everything possible. Thanks," from Jujitsu. What do you think, John?
I mean, I'm somewhat OCD in that regards. Kind of have to get everything, but yeah, I've kind of weaned off of that a little bit.
To me, it depends.
Yeah, it also depends on the game.
Yeah, like Dark Souls, I make a point of trying to get everything because each thing tells you more about the story and the lore and the world.
Yeah.
Whereas in The Witcher 3, for example, I don't feel the need to get everything because it's just like, oh, look, here's another sword that isn't as good as my sword. So it really depends on if the loot that you're picking up is important or if it's just chaff. And if it's chaff, then I don't really care. Now, I do like to, as far as killing every enemy one time, I think the interesting thing about that particular thing is that can you think of any other kind of RPGs where you would like run by enemies? Because most of the RPGs, you would have no reason to not fight the enemies that are there. That's kind of the whole point of the game, right? Like you can play Dragon Age Inquisition and then just run past a bunch of people to get to one point in the map. Seems a little odd. I don't know. I can't think of a reason why you would do that in other games. But as far as Dark Souls and Bloodborne goes, I always try to fight everything at least one time just to kind of show it off. And then, if you die, you got to go back. You can just run by stuff. So, All right, this next one is coming in from Diego, who says, with Gears of War 4 essentially being Gears of War the next generation, are there any games you'd like to see go in this direction? Maybe the next Uncharted could feature a young new adventurer with Nathan Drake filling the role of Sully. Maybe the next Metal Gear puts Snake on the sidelines on Codec advising a new protege. You mean Metal Gear Solid 2?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Love what you guys do. Keep it up. Awesome videos. Your loyal patron, Diego, a.k.a. Panda's Hero. You took mine, Diego. I've got one answer for everything, and it's Dark Souls, except when it's Metal Gear. I think that Metal Gear should have passed the torch a while back, but they just Raiden happened, and then people didn't like Raiden, and then Plus, Raiden wasn't even like a pass the torch. It was like he was supposed to be the new guy. It was almost like the game itself was shoving Raiden in your face, just like, look how cool he is, and everybody was like,
yeah. I almost wouldn't mind them doing that sort of with the modern day stuff for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Like instead of doing, you're now playing as you and you're you're working with the assassins, but you're you. Now, actually introducing a new protagonist like for the modern day stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because the modern day stuff has become worse. It's become worse than ever. Like
it might as well not even be there.
Yeah. Like what? I mean, I'm not going to go hack a bunch of other people.
They've already abandoned the modern day storyline to the point of that. Why does it even fucking care?
Well, spoiler alert. But like in Assassin's Creed 4, the modern day story was like the guy in. Oh God, it's not Connor. Who was the guy in Black Flag? Who was the main character? Kenway.
Yeah, Kenway. Edward Kenway. Yeah.
The guy that you're tracking down there is an immortal, and he's still alive because he shows up at the company at the end of that game, and he's like, "Aha!" And then the next game, it's just like, "What happened to that? Nothing? Oh, okay. There was nothing." What happened to Minerva taking over? Right? Like, what happened to the fact that at the end of spoiler alert for all of Assassin's Creed?
Well, that was part of that.
The
what's his name? Like he was in love with Minerva.
Yeah,
the immortal dude was, and Minerva was there.
But when she was like, I'm gonna take over, I'm gonna rule humanity, I'm gonna control everybody. But then you start the game and it's like doop doop, I work at Abstergo, and it's like, is this what you meant? Like you're gonna control everybody, and so I've got an office job now? Ew, fuck off, Ubisoft.
No, I agree. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, like, at least that storyline somewhat tangentially tied to Minerva.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after that it was just like, we don't fucking care.
Yeah. Like the end of Assassin's Creed 3 was literally like either the world's going to end or I'm going to control humanity, and you don't get to pick which one. And so then those consequences were just like nowhere. They were gone. There was no mention of that shit. I mean, and please, before you start typing about the comics or animations or whatever, or web series or whatever, I mean, like in the games, in the full-on games, meh. I think that this idea could work for pretty much any franchise which has gone on for a super long period of time.
Yeah.
Resident Evil should have passed the torch to somebody that was not Chris, Jill, or Leon a long time ago.
Which we're getting that.
Which I guess, in Revelations 2, they kind of did that with there was a couple of new characters there, but it was like, what, Jill and then like Barry's daughter, right?
Well, no,
like,
I meant like Resident Evil 7 is a completely new character.
Yeah, but I feel like they didn't need to throw all that stuff away. It's just that it starts to get ridiculous when the same thing is happening, like Die Hard, right? They should be passing that shit off to somebody else and not just having the same thing happen to the same person over and over and over again.
And
at least Snake got old, at least
at a really accelerated rate, but
yep. But at least it was something. At least it wasn't. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what would be a franchise that I would love to see.
I think it's anything that you feel like has gone on for too long. I mean, Final Fantasy doesn't work because they change characters all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit that I really liked it when they did that with, what was it, Prototype? How Prototype 1 was, the one guy, and then Prototype 2 was a completely different guy. And
yeah.
Like that, but there was still connection to it.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked that. But yeah, I don't know.
I got the answer, John. Want to play Grand Theft Auto 6? your fucking Michael's douchebag kid from Grand Theft Auto 5.
Good God, no.
That has entitled tattooed on his neck.
No.
No, you switch between him and the sister. Those are the characters for Grand Theft Auto 6.
No, for the love of God, no.
No?
No.
I got one. This will piss off everybody. I think that they should fucking kill off Master Chief and pass that lineage on to one of the new Spartans, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because Master Chief
Spartan Locke would be great, I think.
Yep.
You know, it just matters. The only thing that sucks is that the guy that got doing the voice and the likeness of Spartan Locke is now got a huge kind of starting to get a career now.
Oh yeah,
because of Luke Cage and.
Yep. I'm trying to think of any other game that had like multiple sequels that would kind of fit into that same cat. I mean, it's almost like back when we had another question a few weeks back, or maybe it was last week or whatever, about like, what would you want to? Oh, I got another one. What game franchise would you like to be rebooted? And I'm like, anything that's got more than 5 parts to it, or 4 parts at that,
or even just 3.
I mean, yeah. I always wanted Arkham Origins 2, the Nightwing story. Like, not even as a Batman game, but as a Nightwing or a Robin game, where it's like Batman's been captured, and now you, Dick Grayson, have to...
Or Batman's just disappeared.
Right, either that. But I don't want him to take on the role of Batman. I want him to be Robin or Nightwing, and then do his own thing.
I got an idea.
Okay.
Tell
me about it.
Did you ever watch the old Batman Superman Adventures cartoon, the Bruce Timm stuff?
Yeah.
There's this one episode of Superman, the animated series, where Robin comes to Superman because Batman is missing. And so Superman dresses up as Batman.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's based on a comic.
Yeah. And then it turns out, Brainiac has captured Bruce Wayne and is controlling him to try to enact some super secret plan within Wayne Industries or whatever to do this whole world domination thing. But that should totally be the story.
Sure.
You're Superman dressed as Batman.
Yep.
Trying to be Batman in.
Yep. Yeah. No, I got you. I was going to say Gordon Freeman, but it doesn't matter.
Because there's never going to be another one.
Well, it doesn't matter because there's never going to be another one, and Gordon Freeman has no character. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's enough. There's some
Half-Life
stuff
3
out there.
Confirmed.
What's that?
Half-Life 3 confirmed. Gordon Freeman has no character. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
I'm going to put that in the thumbnail for this podcast. It's just the Half-Life 3 logo. All right, Tom writes in and says, "Good morrow, good fellows of the Rage variety. I was having a thought about the Metal Gear franchise and what appears to be the blundering lunacy of Konami's handling of the IP since it took the proverbial steering wheel. With MGS5 rounding off the series in a sticky, bitter, crumbly, quote, it should have had more time in the oven, close quote, kind of way. No matter how you look at it, it's safe to say the main timeline has come to an end, leaving the IP on the open road with no restraints." Actually, that happened in 4. You didn't need a 5 to do that. It was already closed. Anyway, I recalled rumors of yesteryear of there having been a spin-off game set in World War II where players controlled the boss, and it got me thinking. You can easily make a game in the same vein to the Phantom Pain, but follow the boss and Major Zero as they create the Fox Division during World War II. Hell, you could even have the Cobra unit members serve as your buddies. But alas, we get Metal Gear Survival, the creatively bankrupt cash grab of a game involving zombies. So let's use our imaginations and pretend that Metal Gear Survival never darkened our doorway with its presence for a moment, and you had the keys to the kingdom. What course would you charter for the ship that is Metal Gear? Your friend from across the pond, Tom.
So what course would you chart forward?
I have heard the idea of taking the boss during World War II, and I think that while I think that's interesting, it opens up a can of worms. And that can of worms is that anything you do in that timeline needs to feed into the main narrative of the game, and specifically needs to feed directly into Metal Gear Solid 3, which is a high bar, right?
Yeah.
And you start to also run into that prequel problem where it's earlier in the timeline than where Metal Gear Solid 3 was, yet you want the technology to feel better than it did in previous games because we evolved in our game-making prowess, right? So, like, what, you're going to make you get into this weird storytelling thing where it's like, oh, the boss was in World War II, and oh, man, she fought this giant steampunk Nazi Metal Gear with a Tommy gun, I don't know, right, something. and then never mentioned that. In the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 3, it never came up that there was a giant mecha gear that she fought during World War II. So I actually find that it's better. I don't like prequels because they have a way of being too good, like giving you better weapons and better powers and better gameplay systems, and then shoehorning stuff into the franchise that was never there. One of the brilliant things about Metal Gear, in my opinion, is that they left these big gaps where they would just casually mention a thing, and they went back in and filled it in with like Peace Walker. But even Peace Walker was a bit revisionist. So my thing, if I was doing the Metal Gear franchise, would be one of two options. One, you can make a side story to Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, whatever, where you create a brand new protagonist, right? Not Raiden, not Snake, but somebody else. There's plenty of other people in there. You could make an Ocelot game, or you could just make up somebody brand new. Or you can make a thing where where the player makes their own character, and then build a story. Ooh, you know, it'd be cool is if they did it like Mortal Kombat 9, where they made a story that weaved in and out of of 3, Peace Walker, Solid 2, and 4, where there was just stuff happening behind the scenes that this other character is weaving in and out, where you could kind of see the stuff that was happening in those games happening over there, but that you're facilitating that through behind the scenes other stealthy stuff, which would be kind of cool. Maybe you're a patriot. Maybe you're part of the fucking Lalelulelo ninjas, right? Or maybe you create a brand new thing that nobody's ever heard of before. Or fucking continue making Metal Gear Rising games. Make more Raiden games. Make more action Raiden games, or set your Metal Gear game in the future with a new protagonist. Instead of Snake, maybe you have, like, to go to the last one, maybe you have Raiden's new sidekick, you know?
I'm going to ask something.
Sure.
And this is just because I never beat Metal Gear Solid 3 or 4 or whatever the fuck the last one was, timeline-wise.
4.
Okay. Is Snake alive at the end of all of it? Because I know there was the whole thing with him putting a gun in his mouth and maybe pulling a trigger, but then it turned out like if you beat it on a certain difficulty, there's an ending where like
you don't have to beat it on a certain difficulty. You beat it on normal.
Okay.
Yes. Well, okay. Spoiler alert again, as should be evidenced by this question, but he is alive at the end. He is alive. He's still rapidly aged, and he's still kind of dying, but he has a little bit of time left after the whole thing. Because one of the big things in Metal Gear Solid 4 is that, you know, he has the Fox Die virus.
Yeah.
Is that the Fox Die virus inside of him is actually starting to break down, and it's starting to become an airborne contagion that just kills anybody around him, and it actually hits people with certain other things first, I think, because the Fox Die was made to kill certain people, specifically people with the Snake's DNA, but that part of the virus is breaking down, and so now it's just going to become everybody around him. He's literally going to become a walking biological weapon. And by the end of the game, there's been stuff done to give him a little bit of a new lease on life, and he does survive. But it's obvious that he's in a place where it's like he's not going to be the protagonist.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying he'd be the protagonist.
Yeah.
But there'd be a thing where he's decided that the mission needs to kind of go on.
Sure.
But he's not going to be the main character. It's going to be a completely new character, new guy, probably a military guy that he himself, happened to have worked with at some point.
Oh, you'd be good for that? By the end of Metal Gear Solid 4? Meryl.
Yeah. I'm just saying, just someone that he's worked with. Doesn't even have to be an existing character. It could be like, oh, I worked an op, back in the day with this guy.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he knew his shit, but he was still kind of a rookie and still very green or whatever. So I've taken him under my wing. I've taught him everything that I know, and I'm going to be his foxhound or whatever.
I'm no rookie. I'm a 5-year vet. All right.
Yeah, whatever.
Sorry. Sorry, I can resist that.
Yeah, but and it's and him basically being he's the guy that calls the main character, and he's the guy that gives him the he's like, hey, I'm this is I'm your contact for this. Here's where you need to go. Here's what you need to go do.
Sure.
Turns out someone else created another fucking Metal Gear.
Sure.
You'd think they'd stop by now, but nope, continuing to do it.
Yep.
Go stop it.
Yep.
I've taught you everything I know to fight these things. You should be detrimentally prepared to take on a Metal Gear of some kind, and then it turns out some Metal Gear that even Snake wasn't even prepared for. And it's like, well, fuck, you're on your own, kid.
Yeah, I there's a lot of ways. I personally want, and this seems so weird, I personally want Solid Snake out of the Metal Gear universe, because his story been told.
Yeah.
And
I figure like that's a good way, because if you actually look at Foxhound,
yeah,
I don't really talk about Foxhound. I mean, yeah, Foxhound is part of the story, but no one gives a shit about Foxhound.
Lots of people give a shit about Foxhound, but I don't know. That's just coming from somebody who Metal Gear is their favorite franchise of all time. So.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's like, but when you're playing the game, you really don't get outside of what little dialogue he's talking to Snake, and you don't really get a lot from him in the first Metal Gear Solid game. Like outside of him, like, oh, my arms are tied. This is what we have to do. But I'm doing things behind the scenes that.
Are you talking about Colonel Campbell?
Sorry, yeah, Campbell. Not
oh,
Foxhound.
okay. Because like Foxhound's the Division.
Yeah, the Division.
Yeah, like all of the bosses in Metal Gear Solid.
I'm sorry. He always says Fox. They always refer to him as part of Foxhound, and
yeah.
Again, you got to remember, I've only played 1 and 2,
okay.
And 2 I played so long ago that I couldn't even tell you what happened in that game.
That's what we need to do for Patreon, man. Metal Gear Solid 4.
Fucking no.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Fuck no.
So many cutscenes, John. So many cutscenes.
We would not be able to do a full video for one of those cutscenes.
No, just have to extend the time for our Patreon videos by an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, Colonel Campbell or whatever. Yeah. You don't really get a lot from him. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you do, like, there's some, like, side, I mean, there is some stuff. I mean, I don't know about 4, but there is some stuff, but there's not a whole, like, it's not like, he's not, like, running out on the battlefield and shooting stuff, and,
sure.
And, it's all, like, everything that he's doing is, like, behind the scenes, and you hear about it third hand.
Yeah.
As a way to ease people away from, because fans, they hate it when Raiden, and yes, you're right, Raiden was shoved down people's throats, but they're gonna.
It was a bait and switch.
It was. But that's why you make Snake the Colonel, whatever the fuck his name is, Campbell. I almost said Colonel Sanders. Colonel Campbell of the new franchise.
I don't know why in my head Colonel Sanders talks like Foghorn Leghorn, but
because that's exactly how Colonel Sanders talks.
Having the Kodak go, Snake, I say a snake. I'm gonna need you to infiltrate that there building, son. Liquid Snake has done stolen all 11 of my herbs and spices, so I'm gonna need you to get them back there. Oh man!
But I'm just saying, but you have Snake take on that role,
sure,
and literally that's all. You have him do maybe some behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. You basically treat him the way they treated that character,
sure.
Which is, yes, the character probably has something important going on. Yes, the character probably is doing something behind the scenes that you don't see, that you only hear third hand.
Right.
But he's not really part of the game outside of giving you information.
Yep. He's on the other side of the codex.
Yeah. And like that, to me, if you're gonna have a game, because again, I feel like you have to connect it to the previous games in some way, unless you're doing like the main character's Meryl, which I would even be okay with Snake being the fucking codec handler there too.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the way you get around that.
Ooh, Drebin. We'll make a Drebin game. That would be cool.
Like Frank Drebin of Police Squad?
No. In Metal Gear Solid 4, there's a character called Drebin that is the arms dealer, and he drives around. He's a black guy with like Wesley Snipes' Demolition Man blonde hair with like a big scar on it, and he wears like a business suit top and camo fatigues, and he has a monkey sidekick, and he drives around in this big APC that changes colors and stuff, and he's like a mysterious kind of guy. His monkey wants to smoke all the time, and he also wants to drink soda all the time. There's a lot of monkey burping in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Nice.
Yes. Yep. Anywho, there's a lot of ways to do it. I think that what they're doing is the worst thing that you could do. I think that if you it's unfortunate that Konami is the one in charge of this, because you need to go hire somebody that has reverence and love for the series, but somebody who's also smart enough in making games to move forward to a new franchise and get out from underneath, or at least not even get out from, but start to crawl out from under the Kojima rock. Because that's the problem that you have, is you've got fans that want more Kojima, and you're not going to be getting more Kojima, so you're going to need somebody that either understands Kojima enough to ape his style, or is a good enough game developer to make something completely different, which I agree. I admit that I went a little overboard about how much I didn't like Revengeance. Mostly because it was one of those things where it had the Metal Gear. It's kind of like the way I feel about Max Payne 3, where like I don't have any problem with it as a game. I just don't like the fact that it says Metal Gear on the box. The same way I don't like the way that Max Payne 3 says Max Payne on the box. But I've kind of gotten over that a little bit, and Metal Gear Rising is fine in its own regard. I feel you'd even make it just a sequel to Metal Gear Rising, right? Had a brand new cast of characters. You got a dog, a robot dog sidekick, robot ninja dog sidekick. There's a part where he's wearing a sombrero, and it's ridiculous. And Cyber Mitt Romney is the final boss, which is amazing. It's just amazing. You got a couple little kids that have little kid conversations, and yeah, it's a fun game, and it's appropriately ridiculous. And yeah, Suda51 might be able to make a good Metal Gear game. I mean, it wouldn't play well. Mechanically, it'd be terrible. But
also, there'd be weird moments of it being really dark, like dark in a like really depressing way.
When is that Suda51 crazy game coming out where it's like it's a free to play?
The Let It Die?
Climb the tower. Yeah. When the hell is that coming out?
It's supposed to come out next year.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we got one more question, then we're out of here. The KDJ writes in with a fun question and says, Dear Jeff and John, I have a question for you. What is the most extravagant meal that you have ever eaten, and what was the story behind it? The simple question, I know, but it could be a fun one. With love and joy, your loyal patron, KDJ. Is it those the chicken fries and Whopper that you just had?
That's not really. No.
It's pretty extravagant. You had a pie for dessert. And
Hershey Sundae pie. I like my Hershey Sundae pies.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when you say extravagant, like, what do you mean? Do you mean just like expensive? Do you mean like...
how about if I say my answer?
Okay, you say your answer.
So once upon a time, I had a friend who was actually a chef at a restaurant here in town, and he was a good like drinking buddy of mine, and they were like a seafood, like kind of ritzy hoity-toity place, and I decided to take my parents there, and he was chef that night, so I told him I was going to be coming, and when I got there, it's like I told the waiter, I was like, hey, my friend's expecting me. And he comes out, and he's like, hey, man, good to see you. And I was like, good to see you, too. And so it's me, my sister, and my parents, and he was like, and we were looking at the menus. He was like, don't bother with the menus. I'm going to hook you guys up. Is there anything you don't like? And we were like, some people were like, I don't like shrimp or blah, 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 blah. And he's like, all right, got y'all. And so he went back in there, and we got like 6 different courses of like things that were made special for us that were not even on the menu, and they were all, the martini glass with all this different types of seafood around the rim and like this. And the thing that I thought was most interesting was that by the time I got done eating, like it was all super tasty, but I wasn't even like overblown American food garbage grease full. I was full, but I was full of all this great food. So it was like I was full and I wanted to run a marathon at the same time. Perfectly proportioned. They had a thing like the service was exquisite, where the waiters they wouldn't stack plates because that makes noise, and this was kind of like a nice upscale joint, so they would take them all like one at a time away, and it was everything was presented super super well, and the whole place was real nice, and everybody was all dressed up hoity-toity. And that's probably one of the top 5 meals that I've ever had in my life. I'm trying to think of some of the rest of them, but some of them are things like 4 years ago, I went up to my parents for Christmas, and they had gone and got like a special like free range locally sourced turkey. And they'd spent like 6 months finding all where the best places for vegetables and stuff were. So they just like got in the kitchen and just made like the best turkey dinner I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And it was just turkey dressing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole or whatever. But it was like, my sister had been working on this stuffing recipe for 4 Thanksgivings, and the potatoes that we got were like these really nice, like heirloom things, and the turkey was just the best turkey, and it was just roasted, baked in the oven, right? But it was just all came together in a way that was like literally the best dinner I've ever had in my life. So I got a couple like that.
Yeah. So I don't really eat extravagantly. That's I think the big thing is that I actually while we were talking, I've actually been trying to struggle with this, and I do have an answer.
Okay.
But it's like I don't. But before I go into that answer, it's like I'm very plain. I'm very like I'm meat and potatoes, and even then it's mashed potatoes, no gravy.
Yeah.
Like it's if I get something with like I go to Chipotle and it's plain white rice and meat and cheese and a little bit of Chipotle sauce, nothing else. Like no lettuce, no fucking beans, no
It's true.
Nothing else. Like
I've
it's
seen you
very,
eat
very plain. I'm a very picky eater. I admit this. I acknowledge this. So I don't go to a lot of extravagant places because most extravagant places that I would go to don't serve food that I want.
Yeah.
Don't serve food that I would eat. I know this ahead of time.
Yeah.
But like I think the most extravagant thing I do eat is more due to complicatedness, which is going to Taco Cabana and getting an 8-ounce queso to a dozen flour tortillas, and then driving over to Burger King and getting a shitload of chicken fries and just combining those into one gigantic meal, and then just pigging out on that. That's it. Yeah, but so a long while back, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before. My brother lived in Denmark for a long while, and there was one Christmas. I think it was like his first Christmas there that I decided to go visit him for like 3 months.
Okay.
It was great because my job actually was okay with me taking a 3-month sabbatical.
Wow.
But yeah, I left mid-November and then came back mid-February.
Okay.
And so I just stayed up there for Christmas and New Year's and a little bit after that. It was great, like best time of my life kind of thing. It was great to visit the country, to visit Denmark and everything. He took me to a restaurant called Jensen's.
Okay.
Which the way it was described to me, I don't know. Someone may be like, Jensen, I live in Denmark, and Jensen's is not as what you describe it.
Yeah.
But it was described to me as an upscale steak house.
Okay.
Like, this is like super expensive steakhouse kind of thing.
Okay.
My brother's like, no, I've been here. It's great. You're here. I need to take you to this place because it's the fucking best steak you'll ever have. Mm-hmm. And literally, it's steak. And that's what you're ordering. Like they'll give you the mashed potatoes if you want mashed potatoes or something else, or green beans or whatever. But really, you're there for the steak, and that's it. And like I think they're like one of the few places in Denmark that is licensed to cook things what they refer to as blue, which is basically where they just flash fry it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it was probably the most extravagant steak I've ever eaten. It was really good.
Okay.
That's about the closest thing I can think of.
Okay. Have you ever been to like one of the big steakhouses here in Austin, like Austin Land and Cattle?
Some of them. I've not been to Austin Land and Cattle.
Austin Land and Cattle is excellent, and it sucks because it shares a name with Texas Land and Cattle, which is a chain garbage restaurant. But
yeah.
Austin Land and Cattle is probably the best steak I've had in Austin. They'll do black and blue there as well, which is basically just, outside is seared and the inside is just raw.
Oh, see, they don't do black and blue. It's just blue.
Oh, or they just hand you raw piece of meat?
No. I mean, it's cooked, but it's not like seared on the outside. It's like perfectly cooked on the outside and then like kind of whatever, so that it, just cooked enough on the inside that you're not going to like get sick from it.
What about like the Brazilian steakhouse? You ever been to one of those?
Yeah, I have. I've been to a few of those.
Oh man,
you know what? I'll take that back.
Brazilian steakhouse?
Yeah, because I actually went to the one downtown for Christmas a couple years back, and that was it was a work function. It was a work Christmas party, and they took us to a Brazilian steakhouse, and it was the one right. It was the one right across the street from the convention center, or right down the street from the convention center downtown. And yeah, it was pretty. There was a lot of good food there.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that too.
All right. Fair enough. And that is our show for the week. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. If we didn't answer your question this week, send it again. We always need more questions.
Yeah, Ruscals.
Except for you, Ruscals. You asked too many questions.
Send them all back in again.
Too many questions.
The ones we didn't answer.
By the way, if you've gotten this far, I'm assuming you're a super fan of Rage Select. Go get the Rage Select, the Book of Rage, $1.99 on Amazon. All the proceeds go to the artists that did the work on the book and to Quick Kick, who put it all together. You should go grab it. It's fantastic. And John's in there.
I'm in like a paragraph.
Strangely, I'm not.
You are
bizarre, a little strange. I don't know what happened there, but
you are all over that book.
I should be. That's it. And let's go get some steaks, John.
All right. Jeff is once again checking on his beans burning. Again, still could be a euphemism. Take that for what you will. All I'm reminded of is the Animaniacs. You like beans? You like George Wendt? Do you like watching movies while eating beans? Do you like watching movies starring George Wendt while eating beans? Have you ever eaten beans with George Wendt? Yeah. Would you like to take a survey?